Richmond, David Green built his point lead to 128 over Randy LaJoie. He was in the running for the victory until Kenny Wallace made a daring move around the Green brothers to take the win. Will win today, and how will the points chase shake down? Find out next. Welcome to a beautiful late summer afternoon in Delaware. The Mbna 200 today live on TNN Motorsports for the NASCAR Busch Series. A little windy, but temperatures about 70 degrees and a full field of cars. Let's get the thoughts of the current Busch Series point leader. He'll start third today. He's with Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Rick, David Green built that points lead through consistency. But now last week at Richmond, I think he feels like one might have been snatched from him. David, looks like you had victory in hand last week. What about today? How do you approach this race?
Well, the same old way, Glenn. Dover's a tough racetrack, but we got to do the same thing we've done all year, and this Cat team's gave me a great car to start off with, and hopefully if the driver does his job today, we'll be okay again. But just a tough place here, and I think we're ready for it. Goodyear's got a great tire here today, and we're ready to roll.
That kind of consistency is what wins races here at Dover. This team will move to the Winston Cup circuit next year, but they're focused on that points championship. Here's Randy Pemberton.
On the pole this afternoon, the DuPont Chevrolet, driven by Ricky Craven, turned the Monster Mile in 23.989 seconds. Your second pole of the season, Ricky, but you haven't won a Busch Series race this year. What about today?
Well, we should. You know, we've run awfully well here in the past. And it's going to take a mistake-free day. You know, we had a great run at Darlington and goofed up on the pit stop, but that's the norm anyway. You know, you need to have a nearly perfect day. And I got a nearly perfect car, so rest is up to us and the crew.
Okay, good luck this afternoon. Alongside Ricky Craven on row one is a guy that's never won a Busch Series race, and he's standing by with our Larry McReynolds. Larry.
Thanks, Randy. Jeff, you're starting on the outside pole here today. You pretty much yesterday announced your plans for next year, but what would you like to accomplish in these remaining 4 races driving this black number 3?
I'd like to win 4 races, Larry, to tell you the truth. We got an awful good car today. And, you know, if we keep our nose clean like I'm going to try to do real hard today and stay up front here, I think we'll have something for it to end.
Rick, Jeff is just one of many guys that would love nothing more than to get into victory lane this year, but also is already making his plans looking toward the 1997 season.
So Jeff Green will start on the outside pole today. We're joined in our coverage today by our usual partner, Buddy Baker. 3-time Winston Cup champion Darrell Waltrip is here, too. Buddy, let's start with you. Jeff Green with that outside pole run. He hasn't been to victory lane yet today. What kind of day will he have today?
I think he has a good chance of winning his first race ever here. You know, he's been under so much pressure getting in that race car after Dale Earnhardt gets out of it. It had to be an extreme pressure on him. Now we know he's moving on. Look for good things out of him today. I think the pressure's off.
Certainly they have a good qualifying run to build on. Darrell Waltrip, this could be a tough place to get around, can't it?
Oh, it really can. This racetrack, if you're driving down the highway in your passenger car and you're on asphalt, and it's a nice, smooth little ride, all of a sudden you run off the asphalt onto some concrete, all of a sudden you go ta-tump, 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 ta-tump. Well, that's what these guys here are going to have to do for 200 laps. Ta-tump, 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 ta-tump. It's all shock absorbers. That's the key to getting around here good and having a good handling car.
We'll watch the handling as we move along today. Getting ready to put this one under green, the Mbna 200 for the NASCAR Busch Series, coming your way live from Dover, Delaware. We'll be back to start the race in just a couple of moments. To take the green in a moment, let's show you today's starting lineup. We met Ricky Craven and Jeff Green. They'll make up row 1. David Green, the point leader, and Stevie Reeves, the open wheel driver from the Midwest, in row 2 today. Third row has Ward Burton in the Mbna car, the 22. Jeff Fuller, who won at Bristol a few weeks ago. Fourth row, Mike McLaughlin and Kevin LePage, driver a lot of people like for next year. Jeff Purvis and Elton Sawyer will start in row 5. Sixth row, Rodney Combs re-up for next year in the Petty car, and Chad Little in the John Deere Pontiac. Seventh row, Dick Trickle and Hermie Sadler, who's run well here. Phil Parsons and Gary Fita will make up row 8 today. Ninth row looks like this. Terry Labonte, who's always a threat, and Mike Wallace set to go Winston Cup racing again next year. Tommy Houston in the show today, and Buckshot Jones, who won his first Busch Series race at Milwaukee, in row number 10. The 11th row, Ron Barfield driving Bill Elliott's car, and Shane Hall. Jason Keller in the Slim Jim car, and Randy LaJoie, who won here back in June, starts 24th. 13th row, Patty Moise and Todd Bodine. Row 14, Randy Porter and Curtis Markham. And the rest of the field, Dale Jarrett way back in the 15th row with Elliott Sadler. Jim Bound in the 51 car, and Glenn Allen Jr. in the Luxair 99, the 16th row. Your 17th row, Jimmy Spencer in a backup machine, and Dennis Setzer driving the 77. Mike Dillon in the 72. Larry Pearson in a Ford again today. He'll start in the 18th row. Row 19 has Bobby Dotter and Hal Browning, a local driver, late model veteran, and Brian Donnelly in the 89. Bill Hoff will make his second Busch Series start of the year. He'll start shotgun on the field in 40th spot. So 40 cars ready to go here on the Monster Mile.
Rich, the people at home might be wondering why they got two different groups of cars there. You got 20 cars up here in the lead pack, and you got 20 more back here, and they're just getting their pit road speed. You can do it easier that way where you're not all bunched up.
So we've got another pace lap or two till everybody gets set. Let's take a look at the AutoZone race analysis brought to you by the more than 1,425 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. More than $314,000 up today for the 40 drivers. We'll go 200 miles. The race record set by Harry Gant 5 years ago in this event, 126.5 miles an hour. 26th time these drivers have taken to the Monster Mile. We're going to show you several different looks at this racetrack today. We'll be riding along with Hermie Sadler in his Peebles DeWalt Chevrolet. And we'll watch Hermie move up through the field up top as well today. Good view from Hermie Sadler, who'll be starting back in the 14th spot today. He's got a radio as well. We'll be able to talk to him through the course of the afternoon. We've got a couple of other in-car looks to give you. Phil Parsons starts 15th in the Channel Lock Chevrolet today. Another driver who's looking to get to victory lane here this afternoon. Big crowd on hand here today in Dover, Delaware as well. Dick Trickle, a driver who's run very, very nicely all season long in that 64 car. He'll light up 13th today. And we've got one more to show you. A driver who's, I think, got a surprisingly high starting spot as we look out the back of Dick Trickle's automobile. Stevie Reeves lines up on the outside of the second row today in that Clabber Girl Ford, the 96. He's a driver you think, buddy, might have a real good shot here today.
I think Stevie's gonna run well today, but he's a little uncomfortable, as you well know. He burned himself last week in Richmond. The seat got extremely hot and burned his bottom side a little bit, so he's a little uncomfortable there.
His buttocks.
You got it.
Toasted, I think, would be the right term. Pace car ready to come in. We're about ready to go here at Dover, Delaware. The White Lightning, the Monster Mile, 200 miles of NASCAR Busch Series racing coming your way live today here on TNN as we take a look back through the field. We're glad to have you along on this September Saturday. Don't forget tomorrow our coverage of the Mbna 500 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Stars starts at noon Eastern Time. Pace car dives onto pit road. Jimmy Spencer has gone to the back of the pack as he is starting a backup car. Ricky Craven will lead them down to green here this afternoon. Green flag is waving, and we're underway at Dover. And Jeff Green gets a little bit better start on the outside heading into road one as we watch the field move by. The leaders already down through turn 1 and 2, and Craven gets a jump.
Darrell, this is still a two-groove racetrack. They tried to move the groove out, but it's still a two grooves. You see them going in there side by side. A year ago, you couldn't do that. It was a one-groove racetrack, but now you do have two grooves around here.
Yeah, you can ride out there. That's about it. You can't race out there. It's kind of a hold your breath when you get out like that. It'll get better as the race goes along.
Stevie Reeves with a nice move. He started 4th, got held up. Ward Burton's car a little bit off the pace, and a lot of folks trying to get down low and get inside the Mbna Pontiac to get going and chase the two lead cars, Craven and Jeff Green, with a great battle going through turns 3 and 4 to work lap number 2. Green taking a look down low.
Here comes
May have room, yeah.
Jeff Green has the preferred line. Ricky Craven just drove her on down in there. You see he's back in the bottom part of the racetrack, and you won't see anybody try to take the lead on the outside, I don't think. But right now it seems that Jeff Green has a very fast race car up out of the corner.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Ricky didn't give him the line, because that's the kind of move right there where a guy gets his nose right at that quarter panel where it can really get you in trouble.
Craven still out in front. He's led since the first corner here. Green got a little bit of a jump as they came to the stripe to take the green. One car headed for the wall. We'll take a look at that in a moment. It's the 86 car of Bill Hoff. The Mawson & Mawson Chevrolet took a provisional to start at the rear of the field. He has lost it and come in contact hard with the concrete up at the top of turn 3. So the caution is waving. First yellow flag of the afternoon. 4 laps complete. And another car in trouble. Hal Browning, the Delaware veteran, late model star here around on the dirt tracks of this state, and he has gotten in trouble coming off the second turn. So we've got 2 cars in the fence. Browning gets his car refired. Hoff, I believe, also able to get refired, but we're under yellow very early here at Dover.
Yeah, you might wonder how could that 62 car, how could that happen to him? I'm sure what happened, they checked up. His spotter probably said there's a crash in turn 3, and he checked up, and somebody either hit him or he locked up the brakes and spun the thing around. It's just a rookie mistake more than anything.
That'll probably be the last time you see a Lumina on the racetrack. That's the last remaining Lumina in the whole field, and after this year, they're no longer legal.
Let's take a look at what happened here. Bill Hoff had the car get out from under him, and this is looking up toward turn 3, and you see Hoff already crossed up and back into the wall.
Yeah, and TV just doesn't do those kinds of wrecks justice. You can see the back of the car is destroyed. He hit that wall at 140 miles an hour, and it didn't look that hard. Sometimes people at home, you know, you say, well, I guess he can get it fixed and get going again, but tore the heck out of it.
Folded it up nicely.
Yes.
Well, it did everything it's supposed to do for me. I've rode one of them into that wall right there, and I tell you what, that's the boilerplate backed up by the state of Delaware. It's hard.
Gave you chills, and here's Browning's crash as he got loose, evidently, coming off the second corner.
I really think what happened, Rich, he ran up on the back of that traffic, and he wasn't checking up in time, and all of a sudden he had to get on the brakes, and it spun him out.
First start ever in Busch Grand National Racing for Hal Browning. He's raced everything around here, modifieds, late models, even a sprint car starter too, but his tour here today will be a short one. We're under caution at Dover, and we'll be back after this. National Series, couple of cars in trouble on pit road. You see Jeff Purvis, David Lee Murphy Chevrolet coming down out of motor. Wasn't running at all when he came down pit road. Another car stopped, a car that we thought would do very well today. Randy Pemberton standing by pit road.
Well, Kevin LePage had his ignition system go on him, but unfortunately, as you see so many times in the Winston Cup Series, when an ignition goes out, you simply flip the switch, fire up the backup box. Well, they only had one box in this car, so unfortunately, he's lost 2 laps on pit road. Glenn Jarrett, what about the 4 car?
Well, guys, Jeff Purvis missed the shift on the start of the race. They thought he was okay, but it got the valve train. He's dropped the valve. The car is stalled, so he's probably done for the day.
Tough break indeed for Jeff Purvis, having a good season in NASCAR Busch Series competition, hoping to get a victory under his belt here. He started back a ways today, lined up and then row number 5 in the 9th spot. As we take a look inside the number 1 car of Hermie Sadler, riding right at the moment on the racetrack, trying to get up through the field and make a move as we run under caution. 2 caution situations right off the bat here today. I'm going to show you now our Pep Boys driver profile. Pep Boys for quality parts, tires, and service. And our Pep Boys driver profile today features a guy named Steve Park. Last week on TNN, you saw Steve run 5 races in 2 days at New Hampshire International up in Loudon. Here he is in his NASCAR Craftsman truck ride, the Pennzoil truck. He ran the truck race, qualified on the outside pole. He also ran 2 Busch North races and 2 modified tour events. He won one of them in the Sunoco number 8. He's been one of the most sought-after young stars in racing, a modified tour regular for the past several years. Well, his career is about to take a big jump. The announcement came here earlier today. He's going to go to work for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated and step into the Busch Grand National car, the 3 car that's been driven this year by Jeff Green. Steve Park very excited about it.
And you know, we got a multi-year deal with an option maybe to go to Winston Cup in a few years here, and it's a real dream come true for me. You know, young guy from Long Island, and you know, I'm just really proud to be a part of it.
Steve, how did this whole thing come about? What prompted it? Did you like get a telephone call from Dale Earnhardt? Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's the quote-unquote famous telephone call. I thought it was a prank phone call at first, but, you know, I come home from racing. We had a pretty busy schedule. We had a pretty busy 2 weeks. I come home, had about 15 phone calls, and I got a message on my machine that it was Dale Earnhardt, and he wanted to talk to me. And I called all my friends and wanted to know who was playing a joke on me, but it ended up being real, and he actually had to call me back because I didn't believe it the first time, and when he called me back the second time, I knew it was real, and I was just real excited.
So Steve Park is coming south to run in the Busch Grand National Series next year. That's been the Pep Boys driver profile this afternoon. Jeff Purvis's machine still on pit road. Looks like they're done for the afternoon. Purvis just unbuckling and stepping out of the car after only 7 laps a moment ago. He came down pit road and the car wasn't running when he stopped. And of course the 88 of Kevin LePage now behind the wall. We can see a little further down as well as they work to switch the ignition box on that machine. First caution of the afternoon. 2 cars in the wall in separate incidents, really. The 62 car of Hal Browning was the second car. Bill Hoff's 86 got in the wall up in turn 3, and we ran a couple of laps under green before the caution. Ricky Craven at the moment has things going his way, but we're very, very early here. He's got a fast race car here this afternoon.
Ricky does, yeah, and you know, he almost won this race or could have won this race in the spring, and as he said, he had a great car at Darlington and missed his pit call, and So I know that car is fast and certainly capable of winning the race.
Keep your eyes on the 47 of Jeff Fuller. He has moved up to 4th place. He won at Bristol earlier this year. I think he has a good chance today. He runs well on a high bank racetrack.
Well, it's concrete, and they're very similar between Bristol and here.
Green is back out. Craven takes him to the stripe to begin lap number 8. Jeff Green in the good wrench 3 looks low heading down into turn 1. David Green sits 3rd as we race before a full house today here at Dover Downs. Up onto the backstretch, your 2 lead cars, no change there. They've got about 5 car lengths on the 95 car of David Green. Let's find out more about the Jeff Purvis situation. Larry McReynolds.
Rick, I'm here with Jeff Purvis. Jeff, not what you wanted to see with just 10 laps ago. The motor might have been.
Well, Larry, I can't really hear you, but I felt like we had a sleeper of a race car right here. I thought the car was going to run real good. I thought we had a good chance of winning this race right here, and I don't know, something happened under caution. It just locked the motor up, so we're out for the day, I guess.
Rick, that's a very dejected Jeff Purvis. Knows he's got a lot of ground to make up with just 3 races remaining in this 96 season.
Trouble on leaders down the main straightaway, but trouble on the backstretch. That's Curtis Markham in the Hensley car. The Lysol Pontiac into the wall on the back straightaway. So we go caution once again on lap number 12. Curtis with 4 fifth places, his best runs in the Busch series, but a very strong team, the Hensley Racing Group out of Ridgeway.
You see how every car goes into the inside wall here. What most people can't tell is the straightaways here are back to about like the turns at most racetracks that we cover a race on, so you're going directly into the inside when you spin.
As we take a look, it looks like Ron Barfield
got into the back of him. I thought he did. I was watching that come off that corner over there.
Now watch how quick he comes across the racetrack and right into the bottom. One good part about it, you don't come back across the racetrack. Once you're down there to stay.
It's real narrow back there. It's hard to no room for recovery very often.
6 degrees of banking on the straightaways here, 24 in the corners, and it is a pretty steep hill. Curtis Markham okay. The window net is down. Rescue crew on hand to talk to him, make sure everything's okay. We'll come back to Dover after this. National Speedway from our Duralube aerial camera this afternoon. Great to have you with us on TNN Motorsports. The NASCAR Busch Series running 200 miles today. Tomorrow the Mbna 500. Live coverage at noon here on TNN for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. 14 laps complete. We're under caution for the second time this afternoon. Curtis Markham got together with Ron Barfield coming off the second corner a moment ago. Spun across the racetrack, belted the wall on the inside. And as Buddy pointed out, you don't come back up the track here, which is a safety feature you would think. Certainly doesn't allow for the track to get blocked very often, but it'll take him a moment to get the Lysol Pontiac back off the racetrack, hooked up and taken away as Ricky Craven takes him down the back straightaway. I want to invite you to dial in to NASCAR Online at www.nascar.com. Get all the latest NASCAR racing information by going online with NASCAR Online. Craven doing a nice job here in the early going. Really hasn't had to race very much so far, though, with all this caution period.
What we got right now, like Purvis is 4th in the points, and he's out. Markham is 6th in the points, and he's out. LePage was 11th in the points, and he's been behind the wall since the race started. So could be a big shakeup in the point standings here among the top 10. Hey, there's our little buddy there.
Yeah.
Official backup flagman.
He's a fixture here at Dover.
Oh, yeah. He never quits. He's waving that flag all day long.
He's getting just about the size they're going to have to start paying him something for standing there.
Field still under caution here at Dover as the 63 car gets put on the back of the hook on the backstretch and brought around to the garage area. We'll go back to green flag racing at Dover in a moment. Green, the Jeff Green, right behind the Ricky Craven car down the back straightaway. That's the 2-car battle for the lead.
These first 2 cars get great jumps on every restart. They have about a 15-car length lead over the third place cars. They come down after just 1 lap. That's very essential here to get going and get out of harm's way. And these 2 guys hadn't been racing each other. They've just been following the leader, and they are really moving around this racetrack.
David Green sits 3rd. Jeff Fuller and Mike McLaughlin round out the top 5. David Green, the point leader, he needs to finish consistently the next couple of races, the final 4 races, to win the championship. But the other guys, McLaughlin, Fuller, they want to win races at this point.
I think right now it's very essential. Look, 3 wide coming down the back straightaway or going down into turn 1. You see in the 23 there, Chad Little getting out of the line just a little bit. They don't fight much going in the corner here, Darrell. They just kind of give way.
No, and there's some really tight racing going on right now. These restarts are keeping the field bunched up, and boy, everybody's got to use their best judgment at this point to keep them having a big mess like we've had here before.
Down the main straightaway, closing in on lap number 20. Stevie Reeves and Dick Trickle with a battle developing right now. And that's the fight for 7th spot as they race through 1 and 2. Trickle has moved up nicely here in the early going of this one. He's got a very strong car. Ran very well when we were at Myrtle Beach earlier this summer. Trickle up to 8th, started back in the, let's put him back in the 13th starting spot. So he's gained a lot of ground here. 2 leaders, meantime, have started to stretch the lead even more. Trickle trying to size up Stevie Reeves. Phil Parsons in that mix with Chad Little, too.
Well, that's the one good part about Dover. You don't have to just focus on the lead cars all the time. There's great racing back in the pack. As you can see, 2 wide down going into turn 3 there. As Dick Trickle on the bottom, Stevie Reeves loses another position. He must be a little bit loose because he's not able to hold the car right down on the bottom.
So put Trickle now up into 7th spot. He's got a ways to go to catch up to Rodney Combs. Here's Chad Little looking inside Stevie Reeves as well as they run down into turn 1, but doesn't quite have enough to get by there. But Little will be working on it. You can count on that.
If you move up, if your car slips up out of the low groove at all, then it opens the door for not just the guy behind you, but several cars.
Phil Parsons getting in there as well to try to get by Reeves and gain a spot. And we see Little move by down the low side up onto the main straightaway here at Dover. A lot of shuffling back there in the back. Dennis Setzer in the Lipton T car today, or actually Elton Sawyer driving that car today. The one of Hermie Sadler also in that group of cars. And Reeves on the outside. He's hung out there, isn't he?
Yeah, watch this. I mean, they'll continue to go by him. They just freight train by you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
You could hear a spotter telling him, there's cars on the bottom, because you barely touch somebody in the corners here, right into the wall you go.
Elton Sawyer in the pack, working his way down. Chad Little currently shown in 8th spot. Parsons is 9th. Sadler is 10th as we work up onto the backstretch. Now Phil Parsons taking a look inside. Good battle here also. This is for 4th spot. The 47 of Jeff Fuller gives way to Mike McLaughlin for 4th.
Well, we know McLaughlin can run good here. We've seen him win here, so they have a good setup for this concrete.
I think the 34 car has probably won about as many Busch Grand National races. I mean, back when Todd Bodine drove it, he won his first race ever in this 34 car. And through the years, it's been a constant good race car for Dover.
Rodney Combs now moving in behind the 47 of Jeff Fuller. That'll be a battle for 5th spot. And Randy LaJoie is moving up as well. LaJoie started back in the 24th spot today. This will put him up to 13th, so he's gained 11 spots in 25 miles of racing here today at Dover. LaJoie currently 2nd in the Busch Series points. Won here back in June. Told me this morning that he didn't mind starting as far back as he did. He thought they had a great race car for today, and that he'd be able to get up and into the mix here before this one is over.
Rick, there's qualifying setups and there's race setups. I'd rather be good for the race. The big problem you have anymore is if you're a full second off, you don't make the race. So a guy starting in a provisional spot could actually win a race because you really have to go hard, and there's not a second between first and last.
Yeah, and LaJoie's car is working really, really well, buddy. He's right on the bottom of the racetrack, and he's closing up on all the cars in front of him, he's catching.
This is the battle for 9th. Chad Little is 9th in the John Deere Pontiac. Hermie Sadler is 10th in the DeWalt Tools car. And Sadler right up on the back of Chad as they come up onto the main straightaway.
Got a car smoking up here in the turn 3 and 4. I'm not sure who it is. A black car. 85.
Maybe Shane Hall down the main straightaway there as we continue to watch from the rooftop camera of the Hermie Sadler machine. There's Little able to hold him off right now.
Hermie won't be there very long. He's getting great drive up on as he starts from the center part of the corner of the straightaway. He's really getting great drive out of there. You can see he gains every time they come out of the corner. Sooner or later, Chad Little's going to slip a little and he'll get by him.
Little able to hold on to the spot right now directly in front of those 2 cars. Dick Trickle is 8th. He got a glimpse of the Duralube car just a moment ago. And down the backstretch, still Little right in front of Hermie Sadler as they fight for 9th, and Nelton Sawyer right there as well.
As awesome as Chad Little was last year, and we've talked about this a dozen times, they just cannot get the handle on that Pontiac. They just can't get that car to work like that Ford did last year.
Pack of cars down into turn 1. Meantime, up front, David Green starting to make some headway as he goes toward Jeff Green's car. Those 2 had a little skirmish last week at Richmond. I understand they haven't been talking much this week.
Well, that was a bad deal. I mean, his brother backed up in the wall, and then he come down right in front of David and cost David winning the race, really. So I'm sure David wasn't happy about it. I can't say as I blame him.
Yeah, but you see, brothers, I know my 2 sons, when they would pass each other, we had a huge house when they were being brought up, and they couldn't walk in the same hall without bumping elbows. So that's just a brother feud, but when he started to go by there, he just moved right out of the way and just said, go on.
David Green, of course, the Busch Series point leader, fighting for his second Busch Grand National Championship. Now up to second spot behind Ricky Craven. Jeff Green drops back to third. McLaughlin is fourth. We look back at Hermie Sadler now. He's moved up behind Trickle. Sadler is ninth. He made his way by Chad Little a moment ago.
25-45.
Here comes Randy LaJoie as well up into the hunt as LaJoie moves up to 11th spot, looking for 10th now under Chad Little.
You see Chad moving over, giving him plenty of room. He realizes that Randy LaJoie is quite a bit faster than what he didn't even contest the move going down in the corner there, because he knows that Randy LaJoie, once he commits, he's going to go.
Shane Hall came on pit road a moment ago for a quick stop and go. He was the car smoking, as Darrell pointed out, and they brought him in to check things out. He's back underway and on the racetrack. Buckshot Jones moving up into that battle as well with Elton Sawyer now as they duke it out for 12th and 13th spot. Little trying to hang on to 11th. LaJoie has gone by and has started to roll toward the front of the field here this afternoon. Look at how LaJoie has put 8 or 9 car lengths on Little all the way.
Yeah, LaJoie's car is really, really good. It's, I'd say, the fastest car out there right now.
Rick, in the early part of a race, if you see a guy really gain on you and you look in the mirror and he just keeps getting bigger in the mirror, you just go on and let him by, because you're not going to hold him up.
Yeah.
I would put that chrome horn on him after I tried about 3 or 4 times.
And the spotter helps a lot, too. The spotter will say, that guy's quicker than you are. Give him, let him go, because you don't want somebody around your back bumper here anyway.
Randy LaJoie picks up 9th spot as he moves down into turn 1 there underneath Hermie Sadler. So LaJoie very much on the move toward the front. Your leader continues to be Ricky Craven, about a half a track in front. Craven now moving out of turn 4 and out of the main straightaway. David Green up to second. He's going to be knocking on Craven's back bumper in just a moment. We'll show you that battle for the lead when we come back. The Mbna 200 today. The clouds have started to move in a little bit. The battle for second really taking shape. It's allowed Ricky Craven to check out as David Green has moved by his brother into second. Craven said, see you later, guys.
What happened, Rick, is that the 3-car, or the lead car there, the 2-car, got through traffic better than those guys did, and he got away from them.
A little further back in the pack, we watch Randy LaJoie trying to make a move up through the pack, too. He has come up into the top 10. In fact, he's 8th. Trickle is 7th. Randy LaJoie is knocking on the door. He needs to get up and contend for victory today, though, if he's going to have a chance at taking the Busch Grand National Championship this year, because he's got a good gap to build up on David Green. And here comes LaJoie. He's got to work his way by Trickle fairly quickly in this one. 43 laps are complete here this afternoon of 200. So these drivers know they don't have a lot of time to play with, I would think.
No, and the tires, these tires in practice have been going off in about 80 laps. They've been having to change them out in about 80 laps. So they're halfway through a run right now. The cars are going to go through some pretty big.
So LaJoie makes a move inside Trickle and picks up another spot. LaJoie up to 7th. This the battle for second spot. David Green rode 3rd for a long time in the early going. Moved by Jeff a while back. Jeff staying right with him, though, as they try to get close to Ricky Craven, who has moved out to a sizable advantage now in the DuPont Chevrolet. But David Green, the Busch Series point leader, getting ready to go Winston Cup racing full-time next year with American Equipment Racing. His team, Kurt Shelmerding's been signed to move over and head up that effort next year, too. Jeff Green in 3rd spot in the Goodwrench Chevrolet, and he's moving on. The announcement came yesterday that he'll go with Gary Bechtel's Diamond Ridge team next year. They'll run 2 cars in the Busch Grand National Series for Green and for Elliott Sadler, who's been driving the WCW car the last several weeks on the tour. So a lot of movement this weekend.
Rick, you can see 2nd and 3rd there. They're very close, but 3rd and 4th is really heating up here. You see McLaughlin there in the 34, and Phil Parsons is really getting around this racetrack extremely well. You can see him closing in on McLaughlin right there going in turn 3.
Parsons up to 5th. McLaughlin hanging on to 4th. They're about, call it 15 car lengths behind that battle for second we showed you a moment ago. And there it is once again. Down to the stripe, 47 complete here at Dover today. Phil Parsons with a good look off the rooftop of the Chenalock Chevrolet. Riding along nicely. Phil doing a great job today. Started back in 15th spot. He's up to 5th.
Yeah, right behind them is Randy LaJoie, and he is closing fast. You'll probably see him in the camera here in a minute.
We talked about how Jeff Fuller was strong and ought to be strong here on the cement. LaJoie blew by him like he was tied a moment ago.
He did.
Randy LaJoie showing you why he won the last race here right now. He's able to go in the corner, stay right down on the bottom. Third line on this racetrack is right what you're looking at there. There's not much of a groove. That black part is the usable part. That gray part is just scenery.
It's easy to drive in the corner hard here. You got all that banking, and then you can really drive in hard. The trick is to drive in hard and keep it on the bottom.
Car wants to skate up.
Yeah, it'll
pretty
skate
easily.
right up the hill if you're not careful. So that's what you work on real hard, is keep the car where you can drive it in as hard as you want to and still turn.
Laughlin in the 34, holding on to 4th spot, directly ahead of Parsons in the 10. He is 5th. as we battle in the first quarter of the race here today. Terry Labonte on the move nicely. He started deep in the field today. He's just picked off the 38 of Elton Sawyer to take over 12th spot. Terry Labonte, whenever he settles up that bear number 5, he's a threat.
You know what Terry does? I think he calls everybody on the radio and he says, listen, I'm slipping by these people, but don't tell anybody. And all of a sudden, oh
man. I saw the same thing. If you hadn't pointed, folks, we're not trying to keep it from you. But Todd Bodine almost took a lap car completely out of this state just then going into turn 3.
He didn't go where he was supposed to, and man, that was a heart stopper.
Terry Labonte is 12th, the third Winston Cup points leader. Elton Sawyer back at 13th. Driving the Aiken-Sutton car the second half of the season with Lipton T on the flanks. A lot of questions about where all those principals will be going next year. Terry is set, but the question with the 38 car and who'll be driving it and what Elton Sawyer is going to do next year, very much up in the air as well. We take a look back up to McLaughlin, who is 4th. Now look at Randy LaJoie right behind Phil Parsons.
Randy LaJoie makes everybody else look like they're waiting on him. I mean, he is really flying up through here. You can visually see how much quicker he is than everybody else. He's moved in on Phil Parsons there. I'm sure Phil's looking in the mirror saying, wow, where'd he come from?
Close fast, he really is.
Sean to point out that the poorest starting spot ever for a Busch Series winner here at Dover was 24th. It was 1 year ago, and Johnny Rumley started 24th and won the race. That's where Mr. LaJoie started this afternoon. So if you think he doesn't have a chance here today, not so. He's flying at the moment, trying to work his way by Parsons, who has gained 10 spots in his own right. I mean, Phil certainly has been running well today.
You see, though, when he gets to the corner, he just goes in 5-6 car lengths deeper than Phil Parsons, takes that spot away and moves right in on McLaughlin as they go down the back straightaway.
That car will stick on the bottom like few others here in the early going at Dover. Nice green flag run starting to build after a couple of early cautions here. Gerald, you and I talked about that earlier. That seems to be the pattern at Dover. You have a caution or two right off the bat off.
Yeah, when they get bunched up, I don't care if it's on the start of the race or particularly after a caution flag and you have double line restarts. And you can't use that outside groove like you'd like to be able to. Somebody always seems to get in trouble, and it keeps the field bunched up because of the cautions. So Phil Parsons with a good look at Craven as he's, or rather at LaJoie now as he scoots away. Mike McLaughlin trying to hold LaJoie back as they work under the Glenn Allen Jr. car. McLaughlin is 4th. LaJoie is 5th. They get by the lap car easily. And now we'll see what LaJoie can do with one of the quicker cars on the racetrack. Mike McLaughlin in the Royal Oak Charcoal Chevrolet. Another team that may be expanding. In fact, both of those cars may have teammates next year in the Busch Gray National Series. We did a little checking on that this morning. We're going to put a story on race day tomorrow, probably next week, actually, on the Nashville Network, and we'll tell you more about the many teams planning a 2-car Busch Series effort for next year. As we watch the progress that LaJoie has made up through the field, he is up right now in 5th spot and knocking on the door. But Ricky Craven continues to show the way. He's led since the drop of the green today at Dover, Delaware. 56 miles on the board. Back with more after this. Back live at Dover, Delaware, 62 complete and a battle for the lead. Once again, David Green has closed right in on Ricky Craven. Time, though, for an innovation in motion. Brought to you today by Peerless Faucet. Get more out of your faucet than just water. There's Larry McReynolds in the garage area.
Well, Rick, when I do pit reporting on Saturday in the Busch Gray National pit area, I always like to snoop around and see what I might find. I was walking by the Curtis Markham pits, looked down in their 2 box. There was an aluminum baseball bat. I said, I said, so I asked Jeff Hensley, the crew chief, I said, what do you use this for? Do you guys have time to play ball after practice? He said, no. Here's what we use it for. And I might say this is a pretty good idea. Say the car gets against a wall or another car and the fender gets bent in. They put it right in here, have the driver ease forward and actually pry against the quarter panel or fender to get the fender off the tire, and they can go on and go racing. You know, that's a pretty good idea. Now, the short tracks that I used to race on about 15 or 20 years ago, if you've seen one of these, it wasn't to get a fender off of a tire. Normally, they was upset with you or maybe the driver you was working for. Can you relate to that, Darrell?
Yeah, I've had the crew threaten me with a ball bat before.
When Darrell started, they had fender skirts on them.
Oh, yeah, thanks a lot, buddy. White walls, too, right? I tell you, this is one whale of a race, King. I mean, we got 6 cars, 7 cars here going tooth and nail up front.
Working their way through the banking through 3 and 4. We take a look out of Phil Parsons' machine ahead at Randy LaJoie, who is 5th. Parsons is 6th, but they are right there right behind the leaders, continuing to be Craven and the 95 of David Green. Time for a field standing update brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. 135 laps to go. And we could expect to see pit stops probably pretty soon. Darrell, you were saying the tires ought to be starting to give up now on many of these cars.
Yeah, well, we figured about 80 to 85 laps, and every time we figure something like that, somebody will go 120, so we'll just have to wait and see. But 80 to 85 laps look like about it on tires on the Cup car.
I'm noticing the sun is darting in and out of the clouds right now. We have a pretty good cloud cover, so that will help the situation as far as handling. They should keep the cars from going away on the tires too bad. Right now, the surface should be real good.
Another driver on the move. Dale Jarrett started uncharacteristically far back in the field today, but he's up to 11th. Rodney Combs is 10th in the 43. Dale Jarrett about to move right inside and make a move on him, perhaps for 10th spot. Back to the front group again. Yeah.
Look, McLaughlin had a fender up alongside the 3, and he kind of cut him off getting into 1 there. But that's a tight race right there, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 6th.
Darrell, I believe right now that what's happened to Randy LaJoie is his crew chief has told him, hey, we've caught the leaders now. Let's don't do anything foolish. He run really hard until he got in the front pack. And right now, I think he's just biding his time, taking his time, working his way to the front.
Well, it's like horseshoes, really. The closer to the pin you get, the harder they are to get wrapped around there. And he's caught some pretty tough characters right now.
I like that.
Still the first half of the action here this afternoon at Dover, Delaware. We're glad to have you with us on TNN Motorsports. Rick Benjamin, Buddy Baker, Darrell Waltrip, and on pit road today, Randy Pemberton and Glenn Jarrett with Larry McReynolds joining us today. So hope you're enjoying our coverage today here on TNN Motorsports. Jeff Green in the 3 car sitting in 3rd spot.
Also have to tell you that the 32 car Jarrett and the 5 car Labonte, now they're masters at setting up for a long run, getting a car that'll stay up under them for the whole 100 miles that you might have to run, and that's paying off big for them right now because it's been up under green ever since we started on them.
Jarrett is up to 10th. Terry Labonte is up to 13th. We watched both of those cars run here a few moments ago. This is the battle for among the top 6. Really the fight for 3rd now as Jeff Green tries to hold off McLaughlin.
You're exactly right. Jeff Green is not up to pace to what it takes to keep up with the first 2 cars. Somebody's going to have to make a move on him pretty quick here. You see McLaughlin there in the 34. He's looked twice on the inside and tried to make the move. Jeff Green took the preferred line getting in the corner. But they're not going to sit there very long and watch that lead bunch go as I speak. Here we go.
Yeah, maybe down the inside now, down into turn 1. McLaughlin down low, and the Royal Oak car gets by Jeff Green. So Mike McLaughlin picks up 3rd spot as they race down into turn 1. Randy LaJoie looked like he wanted to follow and couldn't do it.
Did you see Rick at the 3 car? He rubbed the quarter panel of the 34 car not to open that door so that the 74 could get by. So that's really cutting it close and playing it cool.
Certainly is. As we take a look again out of Phil Parsons' machine, Phil still riding back in 6th. LaJoie directly in front of him in 5th as the leaders work through turns 1 and 2 and toward the backstretch.
The leaders have closed up on some lap traffic, and that's going to really tighten everything up.
McLaughlin now making that move, and here's LaJoie to take a look inside Jeff Green, going for the position there. The race for 4th spot, can't quite do it, but you can see the 3 car slip up a little high on the banking.
Well, Randy won't sit there very long. He's very, very aggressive, and Jeff Green might cut him off a couple of times, but he'll eventually stick that nose right on in there.
On lap traffic slowing things down. Your leader is Ricky Craven in the DuPont Chevrolet, the number 2, the 95 of David Green, the Caterpillar car right behind, but some lap traffic right in front of those cars as we watch LaJoie and Parsons trying to get by Green. Now look at McLaughlin. He's closed right up on the 2nd place car.
Well, once he got by Green, I mean, Green, there was no doubt about it. Jeff Green was holding him up, and once he got by, he run the leader right back down. You see him right on the back of David Green going through the corner here. These lap cars could pose a problem for the leaders there. You really have to be careful going through slower cars.
I think they've been told by their spotters to, cut the leaders some slack because all of them are starting to move up just a little bit.
That move there around Fedua gave Craven a chance to open the lead back up just a little bit, but he's still got a couple of cars to work by. The 77 automobile, looks like Chad Little's car as well. At the moment, Dennis Setzer today driving the 77, the Mark III Financial Chevrolet. He's driven a couple of different cars this year. Leaders up onto the backstretch once again.
I wish somebody would devise a way where we could use the whole racetrack. It's so tough when all you can do is run right on the bottom of the racetrack, and there's not another lane for the slow cars to get in, not another place to pass. It really makes it hard racing, makes it difficult.
How could that be done here? Would they have to cut the banking down, do you think?
We used to run up next to the wall here and seemed to it worked well back several years ago, but we just haven't been able to do that lately.
Let me ask you, do you think it's concrete?
No, because even when we had the last pavement, the last races we had here on the asphalt, we were right around the bottom. I think it may be the radial tire that just has that much grip, and it sticks right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Jeff Green riding in 4th spot now behind McLaughlin. Randy LaJoie is 5th. Phil Parsons is 6th. Everyone, though, chasing the leader, Ricky Craven. We'll be back coming up on the 100-lap mark shortly. Back with more after this. By the all-new official store of NASCAR, NASCAR Thunder, now open at Gwinnett Place Mall in Atlanta, also Haynes Mall in Winston-Salem, and coming soon to Westtown Mall in our old hometown of Knoxville, Tennessee, later this month. NASCAR Thunder is the official store of NASCAR. Look for one in your area very soon. Ricky Craven is your leader in the deuce. And David Green right behind in the 95, running in 2nd, but Mike McLaughlin there in the 34 up to 3rd. And this is the battle for 4th. Randy LaJoie trying to work his way under Jeff Green, and Green still able to hold him back there.
Well, he's got a mirror full. And, you know, if I was Jeff, I believe I'd cut the man a little slack, let him go, because Randy is all over the back of that race car.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. He's going to drive her on down in there, but Jeff Green's car is so quick down the straightaway. You can see Randy get the angle on him and everything, and the 3-car just runs down the straightaway like a bullet.
Phil Parsons just watching all this take place from back in 6th spot as we show you how the field is running. Your favorite driver up on the top of your screen right there. You keep track of where everybody is running here today at Dover. As we've completed 83 laps, and Jeff Green trying to hang on to 4th spot. LaJoie right behind him in 5th. LaJoie 2nd in points, won the race here back in June, the 200-miler for the Busch Series cars on Saturday. Phil Parsons right with that group as well. Also in that hunt is Dick Trickle, and Buckshot Jones has moved up to be a part of it.
The thing is, he's talking about the 3-car running down the straightaway like a bullet. That could be just the difference in gear selection. One gear difference. We pull a 411 here, and the other guy may have a 422, and he can get down that straightaway a little quicker.
3-car into the wall, into 3.
Trouble on the racetrack indeed. Jeff Green slid up high and belted the wall as the field raced down the back straightaway, so that will end that fight for 4th spot. Jeff Green pounds the wall, brings out the caution for the 3rd time here this afternoon.
On the 85th lap, and Darrell, you said the tires were really getting bad, close around 80 laps, so it looked to me like the right front was flat way before he hit the wall.
He lost. If they could get a look at that tire, it'll have a white ring right around the inside edge of it. That's what we were seeing in practice.
And a ton of damage to the right front corner of the Goodwrench Chevrolet, the Dale Earnhardt car. Jeff Green leaving that ride at the end of the season, as we told you at the top of the broadcast, and he brings the car down onto pit road, so that'll shuffle that lead group up a good bit.
Well, they were, you know, he'd been holding up the 74 car quite a bit, so we'll go to Glenn and see what he's got to say about
pit road.
Well, he's brought it in, guys, and there is severe damage, as you can see, to the right front. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the thing back out there. If they do, it certainly won't be competitive. He's been up a lot of stuff. Wayne Torres with Goodyear told me they thought they could get to the 100-lap mark. That's what everybody was trying to do, was get to halfway before they changed tires. Fuel not a problem up to that point, but looks like he went just a little bit too far, because the right front definitely did go down as they continue working on Jeff Green's Goodwrench Chevrolet.
Pulling that sheet metal out to try to give him some room to put a new tire on that right front corner of the car. That was a hard lick.
It really was, but, you know, back to the tire wear thing, it usually improves as the race goes along. Like today, this race, they'll get up to 82 laps, 85 laps, and then maybe they go 100 on the next set. Then tomorrow will be the same way. We usually can extend the tire wear after the track gets a little more rubber on it.
Crew working there on the Goodwrench Chevrolet, and it looks like some pit stops may be in the offing here for some of the lead cars as we're under caution. Ricky Craven leads the lead group down on the pit road. And we'll take a look at this. Larry McReynolds getting ready to take a look as Ricky Craven leads him down. Larry, what do you think?
Okay, I'm standing in Ricky Craven's pen. I just had talked to his crew just about 10 laps ago, and they was debating about which lap they wanted to come in. Should it have stayed green? He did tell me they would change 4 tires. He brings it in, gets the car turned out, because this pit road is atrocious for getting blocked in. So he's in good shape there. Phil Parsons pitting in front of him. They change the right side tires. Good stop on the right side. Come around, jack the left side up. Left side tires are off. Phil Parsons likewise changing 4 tires. Left side tires are on. Left little trouble with left rear. He's away. A good stop. Randy, what you got at your end?
Well, David Green is already in, down and away. He was complaining that his car was loose from the center on out. No wedge adjustments that I can see, just about up and down pit road, which is pretty amazing. But they just changed 4 tires on David Green's car, and he's gone.
Phil Parsons on a pit road and off pit road quickly. Let's look at what happened to Jeff Green. He is loose here up at the top of turn 3.
Yeah, the right front's down on the car, and you know the driver can't do anything. He just rides her up there and puts her in the wall and holds on.
Rick, I was watching the battle between he and LaJoy, and about 100 yards before the corner, you could see the sparks off the right front.
Here you go, buddy. I think
Yeah, we'll take a look at it right here. Look at how high he is going into that corner.
Yeah.
You see the sparks
You see
there
a big
coming
piece,
off.
Yeah, and a piece flew up also.
Tough break indeed for Jeff Green, because he had run very well, 8 top 10s in the last dozen races and had been running a nice 3rd in the point chase before today. The big question mark is the situation there where Jeff hadn't been able to win a race in that car. This is a look from Phil Parsons' automobile.
Been there, done that. That hurts.
Oh, and but you know the good thing was that happened as he got to the turn. Now that is where he's going real fast, but it's not like it happened in the center of the turn where that thing turns and goes straight up into the wall. He got a glancing blow.
Back to pit road, Randy Pemberton.
You might talk about experience. Darrell, buddy, you might be able to comment on this, but about 20 laps before that caution came out, Terry Labonte said, my car has picked up a push. I'm afraid of wearing the right front out on this thing. I am going to back it down. He went from 10th place to 14th, and Dale Jarrett stretched him out a whole straightaway. So maybe that's the experience factor that comes into play. Terry might have been in the same ballpark as Jeff Green, but he was able to nurse his till that caution.
Leaders off pit road and back out. Ricky Craven in the 2 will reassume the point when we put this one back under green in a couple of moments. Work continues on the Jeff Green car. Back with more in a moment. Series on TNN Motorsports. Ricky Craven is your race leader in the 2 car there. The blue DuPont machine. Right behind him is Mike McLaughlin in the 34. He is running second. David Green is third. There's some lap traffic in that lead group. And on that pit stop shuffle, we had some drivers gain. Some drivers didn't do very well at all. Randy LaJoy came in 4th. He's out 8th when they came back green. Glenn Jarrett, what did you see on pit road?
It was just a bad pit stop, Rick. They had some problems all the way around with both tires. They had a little bit of problem jacking it up on the left side, and then Joe with both the left side tires changing them. So I don't know. They just like they were just out of junction. I don't know what it was. They just didn't do very good. They swore that they'll do better for him next time.
We ride with Phil Parsons looking ahead at the David Green machine. Parsons is 4th right now, and he's looking inside David Green, so there may be a move for 3rd. Parsons on fresh rubber goes right by David Green down into the corner. So Phil Parsons gains ground and moves up to 3rd spot.
Buckshot Jones, buddy.
I'm telling you,
do you remember
good.
the spring race here? He got a lap down early and ran with the leaders late in the race and had the fastest car, one of the fastest cars in the race. So they haven't forgotten the setup, doesn't look like.
Buckshot up to 5th. He started 20th today, so he has been a driver on the move. We talked about tires and the incident that led to Jeff Green belting the wall. Larry McReynolds, what do they look like down there?
Well, Rick, I'm standing here with the right front off Ricky Craven's car, and you can see, and this is how we tell how the tire is wearing. See these check codes? This is the outside of the tire. This is the inside. You can see they look real good on the outside, but here on the inside, the very inner edge, not much check code left. Now, what happens, you've heard us talk about camber, and camber is tilting this tire inward like this. The more camber you put in it, the better the car will turn. Now, we're facing it in the Winston Cup garage. What we got to do, we got to put enough camber in the car that the car will turn, but we can't put too much that this inside edge wears out. So it'll be interesting to see if the wear gets better as the day goes on, which I will say this tire looks a lot better than some tires we saw for practice this morning when the racetrack was a little bit green. Randy, what you got down your way?
Well, Larry, that was quite a long run of green flag racing on those tires, and I came to chassis consultant Kurt Shelmerdine for the CAT team and driver David Green. I asked him what he thought of their tire situation. They looked at all 4 corners of their car, said their tires look good. They thought they went long enough. Now David can go ahead and run his pace. So they like their tire wear on the 95 car.
Dale Jarrett, meantime, has been on the move. He and Randy LaJoy have hooked up, and they've gained a spot, working their way right around with Dick Trickle behind him. They passed Jeff Fuller a moment ago. So Dale Jarrett now up into 6th position. He's got Buckshot Jones directly ahead. Randy LaJoy seems to be running strongly again.
One thing about Dale Jarrett, he'll let the racetrack come to him, but he's been on a steady move from the back all day long, and one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. I look for him to be a factor before the day's over.
Dale Jarrett started deep in the field, 29th starting position today, but DJ is up to 6th already.
Boy, look at the 95 car up on the outside, trying to make a pass on the outside, and if he does that, he's definitely got an awesome race car.
And we are halfway, just taking the cross flags a moment ago as Phil Parsons leads this group of traffic of the 95. Parsons up to 3rd. David Green is 4th. Buckshot Jones is 5th, and look at Mike McLaughlin now in 2nd spot, closing in on the leader, Craven.
He made that pass on the 10 car. Yeah, the 10 car dropped down a little bit, and the 95 shot by on the outside. I think he saw something there, David Green did, because he tried to do that the lap before.
David Green back up to 3rd now. Right behind him at 4th is Buckshot Jones. Dale Jarrett is 5th. And your Stanley Tools mid-race report brought to you by Stanley since 1843. Stanley's been helping people do things right. 1 leader so far, no lead changes. Average speed pretty slow at 108.8 miles an hour. Phil Parsons backing up all of a sudden.
Yeah, I just wondered, did he take 4 tires on his pit stop? Might check that out down there, guys. If something's wrong, he's backing up big time.
Glenn Jarrett.
Rick, Phil Parsons reports the car is awfully loose. He suspects he may have a tire going down. They did change 4 tires, but he's afraid he might have cut one.
Certainly looks that way as the field streams by on the outside. Tough break because Parsons was up in 4th, up in 3rd spot just a moment ago, and he's being shown back in 16th. And here's McLaughlin to the inside. First challenge of the day on Ricky Craven.
On the Parsons story, sometime they'll drop the air pressure down in the tires, trying to overcome some of that buildup these radial tires get. And the tires will feel terrible for a few laps, and it gives the driver the feeling of a flat tire.
This is the race for the lead, Buddy Baker.
It is that, and you can see McLaughlin getting very antsy here, but look at Dale Jarrett. He is just moving right on up through this pack and moving right in on the back bumper of David Green as they go down the front straightaway. You can see Jeff Green leaping around the racetrack after that accident just a few seconds ago.
Finally got the 3-car buttoned up and back on the speedway, but many, many laps down. Green shown 3rd. Dale Jarrett is 4th. We're looking from the Dick Trickle machine. Trickle with a nice job, and Dennis Shoemaker's car. He is up to 5th now in the Duraloop Chevrolet. DJ right in front of them as they work by a lap car. The 89 automobile, one of the guys who started at the rear of the field on a provisional, Brian Donnelly in the Northeast Supply Chevrolet today. But here's Trickle now to the inside of Jarrett for a spot.
Wow. What happened there was that Jarrett run up on the back of the 95, had to get out of the throttle a little bit. Here comes Trickle with a full head of steam and took the position away.
So show Dick Trickle now in 5th. Dale Jarrett is 4th. David Green up in 3rd spot. McLaughlin and Craven, your leaders at the moment. They've been out there for a while now. Ricky Craven has led since the drop of the green today, and we're 106 laps complete here at Dover, Delaware, and they're down in turns 1 and 2. McLaughlin able to get up on the 2-car, but not able to make a move yet.
He looked very strong up out of the corner. I just think right now he's just being very particular about what he does, because McLaughlin certainly has a fast race car.
Boy, I tell you, Dick, old Leroy Trickle there, now he is coming on, buddy. He just blew by the 95 car, and I thought maybe he was just holding them guys up, but he ain't holding nobody up right now.
Trickle, another driver in this series who is due for victory, and maybe this will be the day. Craven continues to show the way over McLaughlin as this lead battle continues to percolate down the backstretch here of Dover, Delaware. Sun's back out again. You've talked about how the sun's been in and out, and that's changing the racetrack condition.
It certainly has, and I'll tell you something else. That 94 car, Barfield,
yeah,
he has been right there behind that. I think he's a lap down if I'm not mistaken, but he's hanging with the lead pack right now.
To answer your question, if one corner's in the shade, one corner, you'd be a little bit tighter in the corner that's shaded up, and the one that's, well, look at McLaughlin moving into the lead here.
McLaughlin trying to go by on the inside in 3, can't do it. Craven able to shut the door.
Picking up on what you're talking about, buddy, a lot of people think concrete's not as sensitive to heat and clouds and things as maybe asphalt is. I don't know if that's, I can't tell you if that's true or not, but I have heard some other drivers say that.
Ron Barfield in that mix too. He is 22nd a lap down, as you mentioned. Darrell trying to get his lap back though here.
I believe he can do it.
Yeah.
Now he's fast.
Could be a driver who will figure in the latter stages of this race, perhaps in the battle for the win. A driver who we had followed, who done very well here today, Buckshot Jones in the 00. He is off the pace and with a problem in the Aquafresh 00. So Buckshot, who was up in the top 5 earlier after starting back in the 20th spot, looks like his day may come to an early end here. Ricky Craven is your leader. 90 laps remaining at Dover today, but Mike McLaughlin has given Craven all he wants. We'll come back in just a moment. State going under the mainer. Ricky Craven down into 3. First lead change of the afternoon at Dover, Delaware.
Here comes Randy LaJoie making Ricky Craven move back, and as you can see, Dick Trickle's moving on the inside, trying to take him back all the way to 4th place.
Craven, we heard a moment ago, may have a vibration in one of his tires. That could be the reason why he's backing up. There are your 2 lead cars. McLaughlin in the 34. And from Connecticut, Randy LaJoie. David Green, meantime, does take a green flag pit stop. Randy Pemberton.
Well, it is sort of bizarre. David came over the radio just moments ago and said the car just feels like it has a vibration, and it's in the tires. Moments after that, he said, guys, these tires feel like they have a simply cannot turn this car. So instead of taking a chance on it, they said, let's come in and go ahead and change all 4. They don't know what the vibration is, but they're going to get 4 new skins on it and see if that'll help them.
Speaking of change, another lead change. Randy LaJoie just blew by Mike McLaughlin like he was tied up.
He did that. He took advantage of the situation when they come off the corner there and got a good run off the corner. But Randy LaJoie has been one of the fastest cars all day long. No surprise to me.
Well, this is big in the championship battle. I don't have to tell you. LaJoie's leading the race, and David Green's on pit road. So big repercussions as far as the championship is concerned right now.
LaJoie puts the Bound car. Jim Bound another lap down. LaJoie started way back in 24th today, 15th on lap 23, and look at this, up to the lead now. 120 laps on the board, 80 to go today at Dover.
Ricky Craven has been complaining of a vibration in his tires, and he does not know what the problem is. I'm sure right now he's just waiting to see. You don't want to go out there and run as hard as you can when you have a problem already.
Craven is back to 4th spot. There's your new leader, Randy LaJoie. Mike McLaughlin led briefly, but he got drop kicked back to 2nd by LaJoie. 3rd now is Trickle. Craven is 4th. Dale Jarrett is up to 5th, 12th time this year. And LaJoie has held the point in one of these NASCAR Busch Grand National events.
And it's kind of interesting, the strategy or the thought process between the 2 car who has a vibration and continues to run, no points to be gained or lost, versus the 95 car who had a vibration and can't take a chance on having a tire go bad, so he had to pit.
We ride along with Dick Trickle now, trying to size up Mike McLaughlin and perhaps move by and take 2nd spot here this afternoon. Trickle's been on the move from 13th position too. We had a lot of drivers really doing well today and really moving up, and this is the battle for 4th spot. Craven trying to hang on with Dale Jarrett in 5th. We're 78 laps from conclusion. If you have to make a green flag stop, I would think that would end your chances of winning this afternoon.
I would say you would have to do what Ricky Craven's doing right now, as unpopular as it would be, to override your natural instinct to go in and get tires. Right now he's hoping for caution.
Yeah, and the same thing with David. I mean, I guess he lost 2 laps in that deal, and you can, even when you make a great stop and only change 2 tires, you lose 1 lap, and he changed all 4, so he's definitely in trouble.
David Green shown back in 25th spot now, a couple of laps behind the leader, Randy LaJoie.
If I was Dale right there, I would want to get by as fast as I possibly could, though. You know that Ricky Craven has a vibration. There's something wrong, or it wouldn't be vibrating. If I was running behind him, I'd want to put him behind me.
This meantime, the battle for 2nd spot. McLaughlin in the 34 trying to hold off Trickle in the 64. And behind the lap car of Larry Pearson, the Stanley Tools 4 there, the 92 out of Curtis Key's shops. As we watch Trickle, he's been riding right behind McLaughlin. Is Trickle where he wants to be at this point? Is he content to ride for now?
No, he wants to be number 1. Right now he's doing the best he can, but he's doing a great job, and he's moving up on Mike McLaughlin. And he's been tough all day long, Mike has. And you see Trickle right on the base of the racetrack getting a good run. You can see a twitch coming out of the corner there, McLaughlin's car. He got a little bit loose. He's letting Trickle go.
Trickle down to the inside, takes the pass and moves to 2nd spot. So Dick Trickle in the Duralube car moves into 2nd, getting around McLaughlin. So now we'll see whether he's going to be able to move in on LaJoie. And this for 4th spot. Looks as though Craven is going to give ground and give up another position to Dale Jarrett, who I think is going to be a factor here before this thing is over.
Well, I think he might be a factor for 2nd.
Randy LaJoie's got a ways to go, though. 126 laps are complete. David Green equalized a tire on the right rear corner. That's what put him behind. We'll be back. Welcome back to Dover, Delaware, the NASCAR Busch Series on the Speedway for the Mbna 200 as we take a look from our Duralube aerial camera at your race leader, Randy LaJoie, in car number 74. Started today way back in 24th, has come up to lead by the 125th lap today. He needs to cut into David Green's point lead, and he may do that at the conclusion of today's event. You know, Opryland is the official destination of NASCAR. More information on Opryland is yours by dialing 615-889-6611. But be sure and call weekdays only. We'd love to talk to you about it. Dick Trickle, meantime, may make a race out of this here very shortly, gentlemen.
He's trying very hard. He's moved right up behind. You see the race leader, Randy LaJoie, going down the back straightaway. Just about 4 or 5 car lengths difference between 1st and 2nd. Trickle's trying his heart out right now, but I'm not sure that Randy LaJoie is doing everything he can do right at the moment.
No, you know, you change your attitude just a little bit, or your style just a little bit. He's been a little more cautious when he gets these lap cars than he was when he was trying to get the lead. Now that he's got it, he's kind of minding his manners and working the traffic a little better than he was earlier.
LaJoie by Glenn Allen up onto the backstretch there, takes Trickle right with him. Trickle able to tuck back in behind the Fina Chevrolet of LaJoie. Steve Bird, the crew chief on that machine. Second in the points coming in today with 4 races to go on the year. All David Green needed to do coming in was finish in the top 6 the rest of the way, and that would lock up the title for him. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen today because David Green is way back in 25th spot.
Well, Brandy's got a lot holding back here. He better use it because Trickle is right behind him, as you can see going down in turn 3 here when they pick up the throttle. I don't see that great a difference between the way the 2 cars are running. It just depends on, as the sun gets out, the tires get more worn, who really has the better chassis.
Now, Trickle was good, you know, in the later stages of the earlier 80-some lap run. So I think both those cars are fairly equal, but I believe Randy's got a slight advantage.
They've got a couple of car lengths, actually more than a couple of car lengths on Dale Jarrett, who has come up to the 3rd spot now. And Jarrett is really running as well and may be a factor here, depending on whether there's another caution or whether we run green the rest of the way this afternoon. 62 laps remaining, and Trickle with a nice ride. How hungry do you figure Dick Trickle is for a victory in this series? It's been a long time for him.
I'll tell you what, everybody, I think, that ever watched the race, if they watched him in Milwaukee when he seemed to have victory in his grasp and he got a little bit out of the groove and spun the car right near the end of the race, I think the whole racing community went, oh, no. Because, I mean, he deserved to win. He run well all day. And I would like to see him run well today. I like both these guys, though. I don't have a favorite in this race.
Yeah, I feel the same way. You know, we all know Trickle's a winner, and we've seen him win. I have 1,000,000 times in ASA and other places, and he drives the heck out of that 64 car. He has ever since he got in it. Those are great, good people that own the car. They all deserve a win, and that's not to say that Randy LaJoie doesn't deserve one too, but the Trickle certainly has been close.
LaJoie, meantime, can gain a lot of ground. If the race were to end right now, we've got an unofficial number here that shows that LaJoie would gain 80-some points on David Green and make it a 40-point margin with just a couple of races left in the season. So the point battle could tighten up significantly here today at the conclusion of the Mbna 200. 60 remaining, and now LaJoie has scooted off to probably 6 or 7 car lengths as he looks to put Stevie Reeves a lap down. Reeves unable to move over enough to let LaJoie get by in the 96 car, so Randy will tuck in and ride as they come up onto the backstretch. But LaJoie is your leader. Now Trickle closes back in on him as they work down into turn number 3. A lot more racing to come your way this afternoon here at Dover, Delaware. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be right back after this. The Mbna 200 today on TNN Motorsports. Stevie Reeves takes us along for a ride. Dick Trickle went by Reeves a few moments ago. We're going to show you how Trickle may have used the bumper just a little here.
That's a whoops.
Trickle getting by safely, and Reeves able to keep it out of the fence as well. And Trickle takes us along on the rooftop of the Duraloop car. He is second behind race leader Randy LaJoie, about half a second behind as they race down into turn 3, about 4 car lengths to this.
The thing about that was, I mean, the leader had already passed Reeves. He's a lap down now, and Trickle's running second, so he should, you know, he should give up a little there and let Dick get on by to make a race out of it.
We were talking about how David Green had fallen so far behind, lost a couple of laps on pit road, still running in the 25th spot, LaJoie leading. And the point race between these two has been a topic of discussion all season long. But David Green may be in pretty good shape here by the end of this one. Randy Pemberton, you were saying that he could go all the way without stopping again.
Well, that is true. He got it right in the window when he had that vibration, and he had to come in and change 4 tires. Now, he did lose a little bit of time on the racetrack as he had to slow down because of that vibration. But as he sits right now, he can go the distance, and I believe everybody else will have to make a pit stop. And if this thing stays green, David Green may very well finish on the lead lap, so it won't be that bad for him.
Depends, of course, too, on how the caution flags fall. We've had several in the first part of this race, but we've been green for quite a while here. In the second half, we've got about 50 miles to go right now as the leaders continue to work in green flag racing on the Speedway.
Jason Keller just missed the pits trying to get in and nearly hit the end of the pit wall coming in just now, so I'm sure that was unscheduled. You see him coming into pit road right now, but he come within an ace of running right into the end of the pit wall.
Keller will take the Slim Jim car on the pit road, make a green flag stop here on lap 149. Meantime, this is a battle. Craven, who led so much of the early going, and Terry Labonte, this is for 5th spot.
Yeah, Terry is, you know, he's steadily moving up. He's a long way behind the leaders, but he's got a pretty good race car, particularly on the long runs that we've been seeing here lately.
So they race up onto the backstretch. Craven running along in 5th. Labonte is 6th. Elton Sawyer is next in line, but he's a ways back as Terry Labonte patiently works his way up on the back of early leader Ricky Craven. Let's go to pit road.
Jason Keller has hit pit road. They believe they may have broken a right front shock, and that could be the problem on the 57 car. He has shut the car off, sits on pit road, but I believe it's a shock mount, Darrell.
You were talking, DW, at the start of the broadcast, how important shocks are here.
Yeah, they use a pretty mean shock here to control the car on this concrete. I'll tell you something that's got Buddy and I both jumping out of our seat about every other lap. And the 3 cars, you know, can't run up to competitive speed, and he's on the outside trying to stay out of the way. But boy, we've seen some close calls with that car and some of the faster cars coming up on him.
We look at the car of Ricky Craven, who led much of the first big portion of this race, past halfway as a matter of fact, but he's back now in 5th spot trying to hold on to that position over Terry Labonte. Craven set a new track record for the Busch Series cars in qualifying here today. Only driver to qualify in under 24 seconds to take the pole. And since he had that tire problem, he has fallen back and is out of the hunt. Randy LaJoie continues to be your leader. They move up on the lap car of Tim Fedor.
I just wonder right now if there's any of the lead cars that can make it without another stop. What do you think, Darrell? Can they stretch it?
I'd say they're going to be within maybe 2 or 3 laps of making it. If this thing stays green, you know, Davey Green could be in good shape.
Randy Pemberton told us a few moments ago that the 74 team doesn't think they'll be able to go all the way. Larry McReynolds, what do you hear?
Okay, I've been talking to John Irvin, Dale Jarrett's crew chief. He says as far as fuel, they can make it, and they are going to try to make it as long as Dale don't feel anything in the car. Their big concern is the right front tire wear. Dale's right front probably showed a little more wear than some of the other competitors. But right now on this run, the car is actually loose, and that will help the right front tire wear as long as they don't burn the right rear off. Glenn, what have you got where you're at?
Well, Larry, I'm down at Randy LaJoie's pit. Steve Bird, I asked him if they can make it without pitting. He said he held up one finger. He said, I think we can get within 1 lap. He's telling Randy on the radio, save the tires, watch the gas, conserve as much as possible. They're going to try to stretch it, I know.
Wow. 45 to go here at Dover today, and we haven't had a caution in quite a while.
Well, if you can make it to 1 to go, you'll coast that last lap because you lose 2 laps when you stop under the green.
Yeah. But I've never known any of them to figure it right down to that point. They got a little cushion in there somewhere.
As close as this one is, though, you don't want to try to coast and still think you can win the race. Half a second separating the 2 lead cars.
We saw Davey Allison several years ago here. I think Buddy may remember where he was going to win the race and he ran out of fuel under the caution.
Exactly, right on the front straightaway, right at the flag. Yeah.
I think Todd Bodine in it. I believe Todd won that race, if I remember correct.
Randy LaJoie lapping by Jeff Fuller, who's had a tough afternoon after an early good run in the 47 car. LaJoie, your leader. 157 miles complete at the Monster Mile. We'll be right back. 63 miles on the board today in the NASCAR Busch Grand National Series. The Mbna 200. Rick Benjamin, Darrell Waltrip, Buddy Baker on pit road for us today. Glenn Jarrett and Randy Pemberton and Larry McReynolds, and we're glad to have you with us as well. And if you've been wondering, the TNN Salute to Motorsports is already booked for 1997 in Opryland, June 25th through the 29th. Like to know more? 615 is the area code. Dial them at 889-6611. But wait till Monday morning. Weekdays, they'd love to talk to you about next year's Salute to Motorsports. Strategy is going to be very important as we get down to the last 20 miles or so of this one. Wouldn't you say, Glenn Jarrett?
Well, Rick, I think right now you got a lot of guys out there that are secretly hoping and praying for a caution flag. It's all come down now to tire wear. Most of them think they can make it on fuel or get real close like we talked about Randy LaJoie. But they don't want to have to stretch these tires that far. They know what happened to Jeff Green. They're all being told to slow down, save your tires. They don't want to take that chance. You got 2 guys out there, Dale Jarrett, Terry Labonte, involved in the Winston Cup points chase. They do not want to risk blowing that right front tire, get the car in the wall, because you can get hurt here at Dover.
Terry Labonte just backing out of it a little bit there as we watch Jeff Fuller, who's a lapped car, go by.
Boy, I tell you what, anybody that's ever had any tire problems here, I'm sure you have, Darrell.
Yep.
I blew a right front going in turn 1 here,
yep.
and I think my head went in the next state over there. So it's a tough thing when you know you have a problem with wear. And right now, I'm sure these guys are just running what they feel is a good, safe speed out there. For some people, they race just as hard as they possibly can.
Yeah, the thing is, the problem they're having with the camber, too much wear on the inside of the tire, you can't fix that during the race. there's some things you can do during the race to help that situation, but you cannot fix that camber problem. So guys like Terry Labonte, he says, hey, my tires are going away. They know by how far you turn the steering wheel. If you've been out here running all day and you turn the wheel to the, say, the 10 o'clock position through the corner.
Oh, trouble in turn 4.
We have a car in the wall. A lot of cars dodging. The 64 of Dick Trickle has had trouble and has pounded the wall. Looks like the right front corner of that car is down as well. Could be another tire that didn't quite have enough today.
I heard it. I think I heard it pop.
So we talked about how Dick Trickle has been so close so many times to winning a Busch Grand National event. Won't happen here today. Caution on the Speedway. 168 laps complete. This may give everyone a chance to get the fuel and the tires they need to run to the checkered flag, but it knocks Trickle out of the box as far as the victory today.
And Rich, that's the worst place. It's where you're carrying all that speed through the middle of the corner. You're wide open in the throttle, and that thing goes straight up the hill. And I tell you, Trickle, I just want to see him get up out of that race car right now.
I'm going to show it to you one more time. There's the scuff mark on the wall where the Duralube Chevrolet belted the concrete so hard.
Rich, that's not a scuff mark, buddy. That's a hole in the wall.
It is that, really and truly.
I tell you, that you can't imagine. I know you've never driven a car, but you can't imagine how that hurts. It's like getting shot with a gun right there.
Just a second ago, you could see the skid marks from the right front going towards the wall where the tire was down and it was skidding towards the wall.
They're telling us from pit road that Dick is speaking to his crew on the radio, and he's all right. Let's take a ride with Trickle as the tire lets go.
Oh, you hear it right there.
Oh, he did get out of the throttle. You could hear that. But that was still a hard hit.
Yeah, it's tough.
Tire let go with enough force to tear some sheet metal off the right front fender. He's got the window net down, and the safety crew folks are on the scene, as well as the record crew, talking to Dick Trickle. So the leaders coming down onto pit road. Randy LaJoie, who's been the race leader for so long, brings the Phoenix Chevrolet down. Dale Jarrett on pit road 2. Let's go to Larry McReynolds.
Okay, I'm in the Dale Jarrett pits. There was no question in their mind they was going to change 4 tires with 30 to go. Looks like no chassis adjustments. Again, his car has been a little bit loose. That may be just right for this 30-lap run. They fill it up with Unical gasoline, have a good right side stop. The left side tires go on. Windshield's clean. A little bit of struggle with the left rear. Now the left front, he's down and away. Man, how about Randy's pit stop?
Well, likewise, Larry, they're changing 4 tires as well, filling it up with fuel. The Jackman nearly stumbled as he came around the car, but he's okay. They got the left side up right now. And there goes Mike McLaughlin out first. Dale Jarrett second. Randy LaJoie will be third, followed by Ricky Craven. Here's Randy Pemberton.
Terry Labonte had a good stop down here. They took 2 rounds of wedge out. They went up on the right rear tire pressure. They were going to go ahead and stick a rubber in, but they didn't believe they had enough time. Just prior to that caution, Terry did want to back it down. He asked the crew, do we have enough gas to go to distance? He was going to really nurse that thing home, but this was a much welcome pit stop, but too bad for Dick Trickle.
Tough break indeed. Randy LaJoie, the race leader, gives it up on pit road. He's going to have to come from behind again. He'll have 30 miles to do it in when we come back. And to watch the NASCAR Busch Grand National Series in the Mbna 200, 27 miles to go. Time for an AutoZone Tech Fact, brought to you by the more than 1,400 AutoZone stores for the best in auto parts.
As we've discussed in recent weeks, NASCAR Winston Cup racing is one of the safest forms of motorsports in the world. NASCAR has very, very strict rules on how the cars are built. All of the roll bar tubing that goes into a race car must be a specified thickness. Now, how does NASCAR know how thick it is once the car is built? They've got this electronic thickness gauge that they put on each and every roll bar in every car, and it instantly tells you how thick the roll bars are in the car. This is the way that NASCAR ensures the safety of its competitors.
Thank you, Ray Evernham. He'll be busy tomorrow when the Rainbow Warriors come out and try to win their 3rd straight Winston Cup event. Live coverage of the MBNA 500 at Dover tomorrow at noon Eastern. Talk about the silly season. Boy, this is the time of the year when deals are made and drivers get their new assignments. Here are just some of them. Jeff Green will move to the WCW car next year, the 29. David Green's team moves en masse to Winston Cup. A couple of cars staying put, a couple of drivers staying put, but Mike McLaughlin and Kevin LePage's group may want to go to 2-car teams. We'll show you more later on. Meantime, 26 miles to go. Green is out. Mike McLaughlin is your restart leader. Second is Dale Jarrett. Randy LaJoie is third. This ought to be a dandy 25 miles.
I was just fixing to say, take the gloves off. This is bare knuckle time now. You're going to see these guys give it everything they have.
I'll be curious to see how the 34 car fares. Not very well, I don't think, with the 2 tires. I'm pretty sure he just took 2, but it's a good gamble to put him out front.
No worries about tire wear or about fuel mileage now with the late caution after Dick Trickle, who ran second and ran strong for so long, had a tire go down and he gets into the wall in turn 4. We ride along in the channel lock car with Phil Parsons, who is 7th.
You see Dale Jarrett there. He's moved right on the back bumper of McLaughlin. I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold him off. And right behind him, Randy LaJoie. This is going to be a real dogfight from here to the end.
You said Dale Jarrett wouldn't be a factor for anything but second spot.
I told you they didn't need a caution because LaJoie is not getting out of the pits very well. So that was definitely going to hurt him. And I think that's going to...
By the time you get through, Randy LaJoie might make you a profit yet.
Yeah, he'll be all right. He's going to take the lead.
176 laps on the board. LaJoie chasing Jarrett. This is the battle for the lead off of turn 4. And here comes LaJoie to the inside with Craven now part of the battle too. And LaJoie recaptures the point. You were right, Darrell. I knew that.
He's going to have a hard time holding Ricky Craven off too. Ricky Craven's proved that he has one of the fastest cars out here, and with fresh rubber, I think being on the pole, he definitely had the fastest car now. Will he be able to reel in LaJoie? Every lap he sits behind Dale Jarrett takes that little chance away from him.
LaJoie opens up 3 car lengths as they come onto the main straightaway, and Craven now trying to find a way to get inside Jarrett.
Yeah, and right. Don't look too far behind you, Ricky. Don't look too far behind you. The Iceman cometh.
That's right. That's right. Terry Labonte sits back there in 4th. Great run today for Dale Jarrett from 29th spot. Let's go back to pit road quickly with Larry McReynolds.
Rick, we keep talking about this tire wear. Nobody's probably going to be prouder to know that caution come out than Dale Jarrett. This is the inside of his right front. That's the steel belt right there. But now you heard me report his car had been loose. This is his right rear. We're seeing almost some of the same things. So I guarantee you Dale Jarrett, when he sees these tires, he's going to be glad to know that caution come out. And, you know, I want to add, this is not necessarily a tire problem. It's just a combination of things. Teams running a lot of camber like we talked about, and the concrete is so abrasive and the tires bite so hard, it's just wearing them out. Back up to you, Rick.
Speaking about wearing them out, Randy LaJoie is back to wearing out the field here with 20 miles to go. Dale Jarrett trying to track him down, and now the two of Ricky Craven has slipped back a few car lengths.
Yeah, he has, but you know, somebody we've overlooked all day long, and I want to be sure and give a call to Elton Sawyer. He's drove the wheels off of that Lipton T4 today, and it's sitting there in 6th place right now, and he's had a great run all day long. We haven't even said much about him. He's been kind of silently holding his own.
Started 10th today. They've had good pit stops, and they've been in the hunt all afternoon.
And Phil Parsons has just moved by Terry Labonte, so he's running very well right here at the end. And I tell you, all these guys need a win right now. Phil Parsons is really pushing his car for everything it's worth.
Randy LaJoie continues to be your leader. We take a look at Elton Sawyer in the 5th spot, having gotten by Labonte.
Well, when you talk about Phil Parsons, I think about earlier in the year, what a great year he was having. He was having great finishes, right on the verge of winning a race. Then he went through the middle of the season, had a lot of accidents and things that were just out of his control. He's had a pretty good year, even though he hadn't had good results lately.
Parsons in 4th, Ricky Craven directly in front of him in 3rd, trying to find their way to the leaders. 183 laps complete, 17 miles to go, and your leader is that guy, Randy LaJoie. We'll be back. Dover, Delaware, as we look down on a couple of the cars running well today from our Duralube aerial camera. Phil Parsons has just gotten by Ricky Craven's automobile. This is for 3rd spot as they race onto the main straightaway, and Parsons has turned in a great ride today. 10 to go. Your leader remains LaJoie. We look a little further back in the field. That's Mike Wallace, lap car at the moment, and a couple of drivers we've talked about. You all mentioned how Elton Sawyer had done such a nice job today. He's 7th, but how about Elliott Sadler, his first start at Dover, 8th?
That's incredible. I mean, the man's never been here, and I know I listened to him on the scanner during practice, and he was trying to just get some seat time during practice so he'd know the racetrack, and he's done a great job today, and the crew's done a good job of getting him up there and keeping him there.
I think Gary Bechtel's got a diamond in the rough right there.
I think he may have.
Time.
I think he may have.
Another driver out of Emporia, Virginia. He and his brother Hermie both in the field here today. And Elliott Sadler may have a chance to get by Elton Sawyer, pick up one more spot. That's the battle for 7th as they truck down into turn 3. Laps indeed winding down. 192 complete, 8 to go. Randy LaJoie just puts 192 up on the scoreboard.
Man, those cars are going down through that camera right in the middle of front straightaway there really lets you know how fast these cars are going. They're averaging 150 miles an hour around this racetrack. Can you imagine 175 miles an hour on a mile racetrack?
That's what they're doing down the straightaway right at it.
very, very fast on the cement surface. This is the battle for fourth spot, and Terry Labonte is about to move by Ricky Craven to take over fourth as they come down the main straightaway. Yep. Labonte to the inside and makes the pass. So Terry Labonte gains another position here. Well, not yet, though.
And you see Mike McLaughlin, he only took on 2 tires, but now everybody's on hot tires. He's moving up again.
Yeah. He had called in and said he was loose after that pit stop, but the car seems to be working a little better for him right now. McLaughlin, who led briefly in the middle portion of the race, back to 6th position right now. So Labonte makes the pass on Craven. Terry Labonte is fourth. This is the battle for the lead as the laps come down to 200. Randy LaJoie in the 74 is your leader. Dale Jarrett in the 32 in second spot. There'll be 5 to go this time by. Larry McReynolds.
Rick, prior to that last pit stop, Dale Jarrett had said he was a little bit loose. They made just a slight air pressure adjustment to tighten him up. Now he's telling them, guys, especially with not many laps on the tires, I'm a little bit too tight. So with 5 miles to go, catching Randy LaJoie is going to be one thing. Passing him with that car pushing is going to be another.
And a pass just made there. Elliott Sadler made the move on Elton Sawyer as they work on 7th spot. So give Elliott Sadler a call. He moves up to the number 7 position in Gary Beckfield's car. A lot of turmoil in that team this year. A couple of different drivers. Steve Grissom started the year driving both cars for them. They've had a couple of different drivers take turns behind the wheel, but Elliott Sadler's in there permanently now, doing a very nice job here today.
Yeah, he is doing a good job, too. I tell you, I think that young man's got a lot of talent.
We take a look back at the 2-point contenders. LaJoie looks as though he's pretty much got this one sewed up. But David Green, with that tire problem early, he has fought back. He's up to 18th spot, but he is 3 laps down to the leader. So Green won't lose quite as many points, but it'll still be a big gain in the standings here for Randy LaJoie as they put lap 197 up on the scoreboard.
You know what I like about Green? He hasn't given up. He's still passing cars. He's still moving forward. He's just going to run out of time here.
Hermie Sadler watching Green as they move on to the back straightaway. A couple of more trips will do it here today at Dover, Delaware. It's been a great race. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage this afternoon. Randy LaJoie with the lead. 2 laps to go. That time by LaJoie took the 2 to go sign. As we take a look back, Chad Little, who has struggled, ran up front early today, but hasn't been able to keep the John Deere car up in there at all. Hermie Sadler with a good afternoon. Buckshot Jones ran up front for a while, but he too's had problems. Buckshot shown back in the 19th spot right behind Green.
You know, Randy LaJoie has a nice lead and all, but one thing about it, you see, as the white flag is out, he has moved right up behind Randy LaJoie, and there's a lap car just in front of him. Will it come into play? I don't think so, but if it does, this race isn't over yet.
Half a mile to go. Your leader is LaJoie down the back straightaway in the Fina Chevrolet at the Bill Baumgartner Base Racing Stables. LaJoie working on his 5th win of the year, but there's traffic in front. Let's see what happens. Dale Jarrett closes, can't do it. Randy LaJoie, your winner here this afternoon. He sweeps at Dover, Delaware in 1996. 2nd straight win here. His 95th career start. Marks his 17th top 10 of the season. And his 5th victory on the year. So Randy LaJoie will gain a good bit of ground on David Green today in the battle for the Busch Grand National Series point championship. Now, this is the team that won the championship last year with Johnny Benson Jr. in the saddle. They're trying to make it 2 straight. Randy LaJoie, your winner this afternoon at Dover, Delaware, as it becomes very much overcast.
Yeah, you know, the thing about a great team like that, they qualified 20th. No big deal. We got a great car. We can win the race, and sure enough, they're right.
He was just as good as his promise to me this morning. I'll say a great run for Randy LaJoie here today. We'll meet the winner in victory lane in just a moment. Dale Jarrett comes home 2nd. Bill Parsons, Terry Labonte, Ricky Craven, unofficially your top 5 here today at Dover. Randy LaJoie ready to unbuckle. All right, McReynolds, want to thank you for your help today. Darrell Waltrip as well.
Yeah,
have a
thanks.
good
It's been a lot
practice.
of fun, Rick. And,
good luck to you,
buddy.
Mardell.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Go down and work on my tires.
All right, do that indeed. We'll come back, meet the winner in victory lane on TNN Motorsports after this. A guy who's 2nd in the Busch Series points, but may have a shot at this championship. What do you think? There's Randy LaJoie jumping out of the car. We'll talk to him in just a moment. I believe Glenn Jarrett is there in victory lane for us.
And he gets a big kiss from his wife. Got congratulations from his 2 kids. 2nd consecutive win here at Dover. You cut the points lead basically in half, and what an awesome, awesome race car you had today.
We could just get this thing to qualify. We have to pass a lot of cars. But, you know, once again, this Fina race team just did their job. And I'm glad to say I'll be back with them again next year. Fina's staying on board. Have the same engine program with K-Tech. And we might just have to put this thing under storage and bring it back to Dover because she's a good race car, especially here. we're going to take this thing to Charlotte. Hey, we got to beat that 95 car. We did it today. We got 3 more to go.
Randy, did you have any problems at all out there today? A couple of miscues, looks like in the pits, not too bad. Wasn't enough to hurt you because you were able to get back to the front, but I didn't see you have any trouble at all on the racetrack.
Hell, the way our pit stops have been going, these have been good. So, no, I mean, I knew we had a good race car. And early on, I mean, right from the practice, just the old car just don't qualify good here. I'm not sure if it's a car or me, but I knew we had a good race car for them. And, you know, I can't say enough for this race team. They do a good job. And, you know, once again, Goodyear had a great tire. I'm not sure a couple of guys blew some out. But, you know, we were in good shape with our tires. I was trying to take it easy on tires, and, you know, everything's fine.
Well, Randy, we've seen this team come back, bounce back a couple of times. You had a bad week last week at Richmond. You bounced right back. You've done that 2 or 3 times this year. I think that shows the championship caliber of this team. After all, this team is the defending Busch Series champion.
It is, and I'm glad to be part of them. And we're going to need some help from David. Our 4 DNFs hasn't helped us a whole bunch. You know, the next guy with 4 DNFs is probably 6th in points, so or a bunch of points behind us. So it just tells you how good this race team is to have DNFs and be contending for this point championship. We're not giving up. I'm getting these belts as tight as I can get them, and I'm doing my job. These guys doing their job, and we'll be in Charlotte in a couple of weeks.
Well, I'll guarantee you Randy LaJoie is doing everything he can. He doesn't know any way but wide open. I'm getting out of the way. His kids are kicking me in the shin. They want to hug their daddy.
And he certainly deserves those hugs from his children. Randy LaJoie from Norwalk, Connecticut, the winner here today. His 2nd win of the season at Dover, Delaware. Also a win on the mile at Nazareth and the mile at New Hampshire this season, plus on the 5/8 mile at Indianapolis Raceway Park. So LaJoie 2nd in the Busch Series points, but he took a big chunk out of David Green's point lead. We'll come back and talk to some of the other key players in today's MBNA 200 after this, which goes in the Randy LaJoie victory column today, but a driver who did a great job coming home 2nd is standing by with Randy Pemberton.
Well, he's walking by, making the long trek from the Busch garage down in turn 4 to your Cup car in turn 1. Dale had a heck of a run today.
Yeah, we did. Had a really good car. It was awesome at first. I really got through the traffic well, and second set of tires was a little bit loose, and I made a slight adjustment on that last set. And I think the cloud cover and my adjustment there got me a little bit tight, and Randy was a little better off the corner than me. But great run for our Band-Aid Thunderbird. Guys did a great job in the pits, and, you know, we're pretty happy. Need to win one of these things, but finished 2nd 3 times this year.
I know you try to learn a few things from the Busch race and apply it to the Cup race the next day. And we did see a possible problem with the tires. How do you go and combat that in the last practice session? Happy hour in the Winston Cup division. It's the same tire, Dale.
Yeah, we've got a good idea of what we need to do to try to keep the tires on the car. That's going to be of utmost importance tomorrow. And I think I've got a good idea. Learned a lot of things right there. That's why I run these races on Saturday, and I think it's a definite advantage for us.
Okay, go get in the Hot Rod Winston Cup car, and he's definitely one of the quickest guys in practice in the Winston Cup division. He's going to go confer with Larry McReynolds and Todd Parrott, try to get that car ready for tomorrow's MBNA 500.
He certainly will be a contender. We're going to show you now, unofficially, the way the point battle stacks up in the Busch Grand National Division. 3 races to go on the season. Look at this. Randy LaJoie has cut that 128-point margin down to 57. David Green remains the point leader, but LaJoie very much with a shot at taking the title in the last couple of events this season. A couple of other drivers made good moves as well. Todd Bodine comes up to 3rd from 5th at this point. Let's find out more about some of these teams as they look ahead to the latter part of the season. Let's talk to the winning crew chief. He's standing by with Glenn Jarrett.
And Steve Bird just now conferring with some people from Dale Earnhardt's crew. Bobby Hutchins there, so they're checking and talking about tire wear, I imagine. And what was that all about? First of all, congratulations.
Well, it was great. It's great to be back in victory lane at Dover, you know. It just shows how tough the base motorsports team is. The guys never give up. Randy never gives up. We just do a great job, everybody, with Fina, and we're back in winner's circle. What's hurting us is the 4 DNFs, and but we'll just try to make up for it.
Well, like I was talking to Randy, Steve, you just continue to bounce back. You have a bad week at Richmond, and you bounce right back here at Dover, and you win. And I'm telling him that shows the championship caliber of this team. You guys have been there before. You've won the championship. You know that you just keep digging, never give up.
Well, that's true. You know, there's an old saying, you make your own luck, but sometimes you just can't make it when a rear end breaks or you get wrecked, you know. And I don't know. We're just going to try to do it. We ain't worrying about points. We're going after the wins, and we'll see what happens out of Miami.
Steve, your car seemed to have awfully good tire wear. A lot of guys were having some problems, some tires that were worn through, got some cars into the wall. What's the secret?
Well, I really think it's good communication between me and Randy and our shot guy, Billy Nazareth. I think all three of us work together great and really try to get the right combination. And we got a good setup for here. We've been lucky here with Johnny. We won and everything, and I'm just, thank God.
Are we seeing some Winston Cup teams? We see Bobby Hutchins down talking. Is that what this is about?
I know, Ern, I just want to know something, and I'll confer with him a little later and tell him something. If I can help him out, he's helped me out before, and it'll be great.
It's been announced that you guys are going to have a two-car operation next year. Are you going to head both teams up, and how much more work is that going to be on Steve Bird?
Well, if we do have a two-car operation, yes, I'll head it up, and I'll have two crew chiefs, on both sides. But I don't know about that yet. Nothing's for sure.
Steve Bird, one of the most successful crew chiefs in Busch Grand National history. What a great job they did today.
Sure did, picking up their 5th win of the season as Randy LaJoie picks up his winner's trophy here at Dover and accepts the rest of the victory honors that go with taking a Busch Grand National victory here at the Speedway. Of course, coming up next, the Busch Grand National cars leaving the Speedway, but the Winston Cup stars will be coming out for what's always called happy hour, their final practice session before tomorrow's Mbna 500 that you'll see live coverage of on TNN Motorsports starting at noon Eastern time tomorrow. We've got a full day of motorsports for you tomorrow. Usually we bring you race day at noon Eastern. We're going to be on the air tomorrow at 4:30 in the afternoon and again at midnight Eastern time on race day. Will be your bridge tomorrow between the Winston Cup event and the NHRA Winston Drag Racing Series finals for the Maple Grove Nationals. Not too far from here, actually, in Reading, Pennsylvania. That will be on at 5 o'clock tomorrow, so we'll be bringing you coverage of all the weekend's big motorsports news on race day on TNN, 4:30 Eastern tomorrow, and then again at midnight we'll wrap up the weekend for you. NHRA today at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, leading into our Winston Cup coverage at noon time. Winston Cup drivers settling up, ready to practice. We've got a lot more to tell you about here from Dover. We'll be right back with more after this. Afternoon. Some of the drivers and teams have already made their plans firm and have made some announcements, in fact, looking ahead to next year. We'll run through a few of those for you. As we mentioned, Jeff Green goes to work for the Gary Bechtel Diamond Ridge Motorsports team next year. He'll be driving what'll be one half of a two-car operation in the Busch Series. He'll be in the 29 car. And Glenn Jarrett is standing by right now with Jeff Green, who had a tough afternoon today. Glenn?
Well, he certainly did, Rick. He had an awfully good race car, but we were talking right before you came to us here. You needed a caution along about that time, but you sure didn't want to be hit.
We sure didn't, Glenn, I tell you. We had an awful good car. We were just a little bit snug there at first, and, I was just biding my time. David got to me, I let him by, and those other guys was getting to me. I just let him by. I knew that we could be there at the end, but like I said, it was a bad deal for us. And Good Wrench, I tell you, they've been strong with me all year long, and we're going to get them a win. We're going to get them that third place in points when the year is over. So we're looking forward to the next 3 races. Just thought we had a good shot at it today, and hated that it happened.
Well, you say you got 3 races left with these guys. Tell us about your plans for next year.
Well, we got some good plans, I think. Gary Bechtel has signed me to run his Busch car. Me and Elliott both are going to run. We'll have 2 teams, and really looking forward to that. It's Elliott's awful strong. I don't know where he finished today, but I seen him out there. He's running really good, and he's going to be a good teammate, I think. I think we'll work good together. Hopefully I can help him a little bit, and hopefully he can help me some. So, I don't know. I'm just looking forward to it. But we got 3 more races for the Good Wrench people, and we're looking forward to that. And I thought they fired you or something. I hadn't seen you in a while. You ain't been around a long time.
I got to take grief from these guys. One more question, Jeff. I'm sure you have some regrets, some mixed feelings about leaving Dale Earnhardt's operation, but I'm sure as a race driver, you've probably gained a lot of knowledge.
Well, I have. It's been a good 2 years. I tell you, I couldn't have done it without them for sure. Dale and Teresa gave me opportunity when nobody would, so I'll always remember that in my heart. And if I never race another race, I can always remember those 2 years I had with Dale Earnhardt, and I appreciate it.
Well, very gracious young man, and I'll bet you he'll race another race. Jeff Green.
As they load the Good Wrench Chevrolet up in the Dale Earnhardt Motorsports trailer, let's go back and show you some of the other changes or lack thereof for some of these drivers. Hermie Sadler back with his DeWalt operation, and Phil Parsons with the channel lock number 10. Tim Fedewa, not sure yet whether he's going to be back in the 40 car or not. Mike Wallace with a big announcement here this weekend. Ron Neal's Prototype Engines Group, they're moving to Winston Cup next year, and Spam will be the sponsor. So Mike Wallace gets his wish, and he'll be back in the Winston Cup Series full-time come 1997. What do you think? Is that a team, buddy, that has a chance to be a contender next year?
I think so. I think Mike Wallace has tremendous ability, and with Ron Neal, certainly going to have the power to go with it. So I think he's just moments away of being a force in racing. He's won Busch Grand National races before. I think he has the talent. Certainly got the stamina. Big boy, strong. Yeah, I look for him to do well.
It'll be interesting to see. Some of us have been talking about, we've been doing some coverage of this on race day, of course, which will be on tomorrow here on TNN. There are going to be an awful lot of Winston Cup cars at Daytona next year, maybe 65 cars trying for a spot in the field.
You won't go to Daytona without going down there and doing the practice work that you have to do. You have to go to the wind tunnel 3 or 4 times. You have to have your engine program in place, or either rent motors. A lot of people rent motors from the better running race teams. So everybody has to have everything in place. You don't go to Daytona in one day and try to make that race.
Back to the Busch Series now as we look ahead to next year. Curtis Markham and Elliott Sadler, Glenn Allen also, and Mike Dillon slated to stay where they are. Dennis Setzer's plans are up in the air at this point, as are Larry Pearson's. The Mac Martin team pretty much closed up shop a couple of weeks ago. Larry's been in Curtis Key's Ford the last 2 weeks with Stanley on the car. Bobby Dotter, it's unclear what he's going to do. And Tony Stewart, probably the hottest name in racing right now in terms of young up-and-coming drivers. Is he going to spend more time in IndyCars in the IRL, or is he going to run Winston Cup full-time for Harry Ranier, or might he go someplace else? We don't really know now.
I hear they're planning on running a Winston Cup team out of the Ranier Racing team next year, also a truck program. So Tony Stewart certainly has the ability. I think he needs a little more seat time to be a guy that's really consistently good. But you got a guy in the next there, Steve Park.
Yeah.
What a future. I'm going to tell you, if I had a race team right now, Dale Earnhardt would have to wrestle me for that guy.
Park certainly has turned a lot of heads this year with his performances at Watkins Glen and at New Hampshire. Mark Green will have a full-time ride in the Busch Series next year. He'll be with the Timberwolf team in the 37 car, but they'll be at every stop on the tour come 1997. Driver who had a tough afternoon in many ways, but a good finish today. 6th place for Mike McLaughlin, standing by with one of our guys on pit road.
Well, thanks, Rick. And we got here just a little too late. All through his career, the 20 years I've known him, he's been known as Magic Shoes McLaughlin. And until just right before we came on camera, he didn't have any shoes on. But, Mike, pretty good run today. You guys gambled there at the end. It just didn't pay off.
Yeah, the first 2 set of tires were sticker tire, and they were better. The last set was scuffs. Wasn't the way to go.
Every time you come here to Dover, though, it seems that the car runs awfully well. It's got to give you a good feeling when you even come in this racetrack and say, man, this is Dover. This car's won here so many times. We're going to run good today.
It does feel good. It's a good racetrack, and we run good. Today we were decent. The Royal Oak crew did a great job in the pits all day long. They're ready for the other side of the fence, I think. These guys are good. And we just need a couple breaks, you know. We made a call there for the tires that we did put on, and they weren't the right ones, but we'll go get them next week.
Mike, a lot of changes being made, a lot of people going a lot of places next season. What about your plans? You going to be here?
I'm going to be right here. Royal Oak is our sponsor, and they're with us again next year, and can't say enough for the support they've given us all this year. It's a great company, and I want to thank everybody that supports them with Royal Oak Charcoal, using their great products, and we'll be right back here. I like this team. It's a great team. We haven't shown what we're capable of, and it's yet to come.
We're hearing rumors that you guys may start a second team, have a 2-car team. Can you comment on that?
There's talk of it. I'm not really sure what goes on, all of what's going on. I'm just trying to concentrate on the Royal Oak team, and the rest will fall into place.
Well, go get the grill fired up. We're coming over for a cookout as soon as we go off the air.
That's right. Let's party.
Mike McLaughlin, the driver of the Royal Oak number 34, came home 6th today, ran up front, led a few laps, as a matter of fact, in today's 200-mile event for the Busch Grand National Series. Winston Cup practice. Final practice of the weekend before we go racing tomorrow at noon. Terry Labonte out on the Speedway there. You see Bobby Hill and Ernie Irvin's car out there as well. And they are working on race setup at this point. Another driver who had a good afternoon today came home, in fact, in the top 3, standing by with Glenn Jarrett.
Absolutely, and Phil Parsons, another guy. Seems like when we come to Dover, he always runs well. Doesn't always have the best finishes, but you really seem to have a knack for getting around this racetrack, Phil.
Well, we always have run well here for some reason, but today we had a good car today. I was really worried there in the middle. The car automatically got so loose that I thought we had a flat tire, so I just kind of ran slow for a few laps, let the pack go by. And I really, you know, then if thing didn't get any worse, then I don't think it ever actually got any better. But this racetrack has a tendency to get tight from the middle off. And my car was loose, so when all the other guys started getting tight middle off, my car really wasn't getting any looser, so then I was good compared to the competition. I think if we'd have went green the rest of the way, we'd have been really looking good, but we didn't. So I wasn't that great as good on short runs, but I probably overcompensated and tightened the car up a little bit too much on that last pit stop. But I was afraid of getting loose. I knew if I got loose, I couldn't beat anybody. A little bit tight, the tires are going to hold it for a while. And if a little bit tight, I know it could still go up front. And I didn't want to get loose again. So we'll have to take third, I guess. But my Channel Lock crew did a super job again. And I don't know what it is about Dover. Really, the concrete. We finished 4th and 3rd at Bristol on the concrete. And I think we were 7th or 8th there in the spring and 3rd this time. So I guess we like concrete for some reason.
Phil, a lot of guys, we're talking about some of the guys that are changing, some announcements that are being made. You guys, not by your standards, I know, haven't had the best year, but you've had good, solid runs. You've been competitive, had an awful lot of bad luck, but you have announced that Channel Lock will be back with you next year. That's right. We're really fortunate to have Channel Lock's backing and really tickled to death to be working with them, and they're great people. Want to say hello to them up in Meadville, but you know, we run well every week in, week out, and that's the thing that's important to me. Yeah, we've had some bad luck we've got run into sometimes, but we were running well, and that's the important thing too. You know, we started out behind the 8 ball here with a new team and didn't have any cars built. We really didn't have that much bad luck early on. We had it in the middle of the season when we really got caught up. Then we had the bad luck, but it's just one of those things, and fortunately we can get all the bad luck out of the way now, finish these last 3 races as strong as we did today, and you know, get us in a decent position for next year. Phil Parsons has won in the past at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That's their next stop. He can't wait to get there, Rick.
Sure he can't. 3 races to go in the campaign. Charlotte a couple of weeks off. October 19th, Rockingham will be there on TNN Motorsports, and then Homestead wraps up the year as we watch happy hour practice for the Winston Cup cars in advance of tomorrow's MBNA 500, which you'll see live here on TNN starting at noon Eastern. Randy Pemberton patrolling the Winston Cup garage. What are they working on down there, Randy?
You name it. With the NBNA 200 now in the books, all eyes in the grandstand for the fans, focus on the Winston Cup cars, and all the attention from the mechanics now go to the Winston Cup cars in the garage area. Mere moments ago, this garage area was empty. What they do is they get ready and finish qualifying here on Friday. Once they get in the field, providing they don't have to go in second round of qualifying, then they start working on the race setup. Now, they had a practice here earlier this morning, and that was when these guys finally had an opportunity to run their race engine. They've got their race gear in the car. They now have their chassis set up underneath the car that is different from qualifying here on Friday. They've got their race engine in the car. So now what they've done is they've gone out. Most of these guys have got a plug check on their new race motor, make sure everything's functioning properly, and then they'll start working on their race setup, fine-tuning it. They go out and run a few laps, make sure the chassis is underneath it. Then they'll try to start extending their runs, try to make 30, maybe 30, 40 lap runs to make sure their tire temperatures are right, the air pressure buildup is about correct for them, and they'll keep tweaking and working on it. So right now they're going out, riding around a little bit, coming back in, doing a little consultation, and trying to work on their cars.
Working on it indeed as we watch Kyle Petty, who won here a year ago, down into turn 3. We're near an Air Force base here as well. A lot more to tell you about from Dover. We'll be right back. Delaware busy in the garage area. Dale Earnhardt team with David Green looking on. Maybe filling him in a little bit on what the track conditions were like today. Dale Earnhardt is there talking to his crew. Bobby Hutchins there. The MBNA 200 for the Busch Series cars into the books today. Randy LaJoie doubling here at Dover this year, winning the June race, coming back from 24th starting spot to take the victory today. And Dale Jarrett comes home second. Parsons in the body. Craven, the pole sitter, who led a long way today, didn't quite have enough in the tire department. Laughlin and Elliott Sadler, Sawyer Little and Hermie Sadler, the top 10 today. We'll take you through the rest of the field. Todd Bodine had troubles but came back for 11th. Jeff Fuller ran well early, dropped back to 20th at the end. There's David Green with that 18th place finish. He lost a big chunk of his point lead here today. Tim Fedor comes home 21st. Dick Trickle, who ran second, ran up in the top group most of the way before cutting a tire. He finishes in the 30th position. And the last group we want to show you, Kevin LePage in 31st. He was out early with ignition troubles. Jimmy Spencer parked it after a couple of laps. He rounds out the field in 40th spot. Glenn Jarrett down in the garage area with Elton Sawyer. What's the story down there, Glenn?
Well, Rick, one quick comment. You know, if I were a guy coming to run this race next September, I would want to start 24th because that's where the winners come from. The last 2 races here at Dover in September. Elton Sawyer down here looking on at the Winston Cup cars practicing. I know that's where your heart wants to be, but in the meantime, a pretty good run in the Busch Grand National Series today.
Well, it was a great run. Bob and Eddie and all the guys did a great job on the car. Keith Roberts did a great job with the engine. We thought we really had something. The last pit stop, they did a great job, got me out like 5th, and the car just was too light up off the corner, and I lost 2 spots, but I was pretty pleased with it. And then my car finished like 16th, so I was really happy with that, so it was a good day for us.
That car, of course, he's talking about, driven by his wife, Patty Moise. Elton, I see the look in your eyes down here watching the Cup cars go by. Any plans for next year you can talk about?
Well, we're working on some things, you know. I want to be back in that other garage. This is a great division. I love running it, but I want to be over there racing with those guys on Sunday. And we're working on some things. Keep our fingers crossed and hope something works out.
Well, we certainly hope something works out for you, Elton. Thanks for taking time to talk with us. Now here's Randy Pemberton.
Well, we got David Green over here in the garage area. He had a heck of a run, but the vibration in the tire and then the equalized tire that brought you to a disappointing finish, David.
Yeah, it was, Randy. I don't know exactly. The Goodyear tires were good, but after that stop, we didn't do nothing in the car, and all of a sudden, vibrated so bad I couldn't hold the wheel, so I had to come in on the green. As you know, it's all over them, but congratulations to Randy. He ran well. We ran well also, but it's little things like this that's kept this point battle really close. Keep our fingers crossed.
Real quickly, what were you discussing with Dale Earnhardt?
Well, he just wanted to know what the track did, so I told him, you know, he's a good buddy of mine. It's pretty neat to hear from a guy like that to ask questions to.
Okay, Rick.
David Green disappointed with his outcome here today, but he'll be back. 3 races to go in the season. He's still the point leader. We'll come back to tell you more from Dover Downs after this. Winning crew pushing the Fina Chevrolet back toward their hauler in the Busch Grand National Garage. Our congratulations to Randy LaJoie, Steve Bird, Bill Baumgartner, and the entire Base Motorsports team. Coming up immediately following our broadcast, stay tuned for TNN Fast Tracks on Dover Downs, Motor Trend Television, and then the Shade Tree Mechanic All coming up this afternoon on TNN after we say goodbye. Going to be back, though, with you at 6 o'clock Eastern tonight on Race Talk. Eli is busy following Alabama football today, so it'll be my pleasure to host Race Talk. Our guest tonight is Hut Strickland. 6 o'clock Eastern here on TNN. And we'll be back tomorrow, too, with Race Day, heading back to Charlotte tomorrow morning bright and early. We don't have a morning airing of Race Day tomorrow because of our coverage from Reading, the NHRA drag races, and here at Dover. But 4:30 Eastern will come on right after our coverage of the MBNA 500. And then we'll be back at midnight to wrap up the weekend. 2 different broadcasts, all the latest news on Race Day tomorrow. Inside NASCAR tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning. Ed Jarrett and Randy Pemberton have all the latest NASCAR news right here on TNN Motorsports. And NHRA coverage tomorrow, 11 a.m. for NHRA Today. And then the finals from the Maple Grove Nationals, 5 o'clock Eastern, our coverage of the NHRA. Hope you enjoyed our coverage today of the MBNA 200. Our congratulations to race winner Randy LaJoie and the Base Motorsports team. Tomorrow, Winston Cup coverage at noon Eastern, the MBNA 500. Eli will be here with Buddy Baker and Dick Berggren to bring you all the action. Join us tomorrow for Race Day at 4:30 Eastern. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.